Welcome back to another episode of the Weekly DLC. I'm one of your hosts, Kurosh, joined always by my co-host, Stan Vargas.
Oi!
And Dane Jang.
Goomies in my toomies.
And CBD.
We're back.
If you're not familiar with what we do, we come to each and every week to podcasting services of your choice from social distancing places of our choice. And we talk about nerdy stuff. We talk about games, comics, pop culture, everything in between. We hope you have a good time. This is episode 177, I believe. It's crazy.
So by 200, this is gonna be done. Corona, COVID.
I mean, we don't know.
I know. We had our own like
The bets. and
what?
stuff.
Yeah, the bets. I said like what 3 months or 2 months? I said
That was
this
back in
month.
like April, maybe.
It was in the
We were
beginning of it, like close to the beginning of it.
I think I said. Jang said like September.
You both said I
said
think
fall,
farther than me.
September.
Yeah.
Sounds
And I said I was like, nah, 2 months. But I didn't mean it as a sense like it was the right time to do it. I meant it in a sense of like I think people get tired. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you know, like So I live in a certain county that they started opening things up again. And now they're all of a sudden they're backtracking like no everything's closing down again because how bad it's gotten again, like
Well, also,
for that county specifically.
That period that they were closing, people were still finding ways to.
Yeah.
For many reasons, yeah. For all kinds of different things, other things that have been happening in our country.
But we missed pizza. Well, I miss pizza.
You guys, I miss pizza on a weekly basis. You guys spend months.
I miss it on a monthly basis, and so that's why we're here
We're here.
because of pizza.
The little things, the goomies in your toomies. So yeah, episode 177. If this is your first time, please enjoy. If this is not, then strap in. You know what you're in for. Some goomies. Some random people walking by.
Put on those seatbelts; they're mandatory.
uninvited guests.
Yeah, invited guests. Neil Druckmann, George from Lost,
From way back when.
from way back when. Not George. I was thinking the actor George. Isn't his name like Jorge or something?
Yeah. Hurley.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hurley. That's what I was.
Hurley.
No. But the actor isn't.
Yeah, it's Jorge something.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I was thinking of.
I mean, it is George in English. You're fine.
Okay.
So wait, this is a Spanish question. Guillermo. Mm-hmm. What is that? Do you know what English that translates
oh man.
to? Because I had a Spanish teacher tell me something, and I don't know how accurate that was.
I mean, I would.
William.
Huh?
William.
No, Guillermo would be like. I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't know what the like translation to in English would be.
Okay.
Like some names
I just-
are almost completely different in English.
I hate my name in Spanish because it sounds
So it could be like it could be Guillermo
Daniel.
or it could be like Jeremo.
But is Carlos sort of like Charles, or no?
Yes.
No, Carlos and Carlos.
Not just not the pronunciation. Like, there is no?
I think
don't know if
it's
all.
Charles. I think.
Who knows? I don't know. I was taught. I was taught in Oklahoma.
I'm really bad, dude. For the longest time, so my parents spoke Spanglish to me.
Oh,
so
okay.
I would say like a movie. Like if I'm gonna go watch a movie in a theater, I would literally just say it with a Spanish accent. So I'd be like movie. In actuality, the word should be película. So I remember one time I went to Mexico and I'm like telling my cousin, let's go watch a movie. And he's like, what the hell is that? And I'm like, a movie. And I'm saying like in a more Mexican accent, like movie. And he's like, I don't understand. And I'm like, like when you go to the theater and he's like, you mean a película? I'm like, oh my gosh, dude. And and I told my parents, I was like, whenever you guys talk, like this was like when I was way younger, I was like, please tell me like the correct pronunciation.
Update the patch notes. My folks did the same things. They taught me when I was a little kid how to say "you're hurt,"
Yeah.
and it was like "boo boo," and they taught me how to say that. And it's literally what we use now as like a meme. Oof.
Yeah.
When you have an oof.
Oh, yeah,
That was
like,
like
oof, big oof.
in Farsi.
Yeah.
That was like you got a boo boo. And so I was like at some function with like as an adult, and they're like, "Oh, what happened?" He's like, "Oh man, I got this thing. I'm speaking in Farsi." I'm like, "Yeah, oof." And like, "Oh, what the fuck? Like, why are you talking like that?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "That's like a baby talk." What? And I talked to my folks like, "Oh yeah, we forgot to tell you." I'm like, "Fucking dicks."
Yeah, so that's pretty much what happened to me, and I'm like, this is a Spanglish word. This isn't. I was like, this isn't right.
So, guys, what have you been up to?
Not much. I don't know if I told you guys last time that I'm starting to work from home.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that still the case?
Still the case.
How is it? I remember you were saying you were hesitant because
yeah.
it was before you started.
Yeah, I mean, so now that I've like kind of done it, it's easy. I literally just wake up.
Oh, yeah,
and,
5 minutes before. You got to
yeah,
do like the pros, dude.
and I can wait till like the last minute, but I don't want to get used to it. I do eventually want to move back in the office. I let them know, and they told me that I need at least 2 negative results before I can move back in. So I've already gotten 1, so I just need a second one. I didn't know. So
You should have counted and been like 2 negatives cancel each other out.
I've been very lucky. So I've done 2 tests so far. One that like to prove that I actually had it, and then one to prove that it's gone now. And I did both tests completely free. Like I have nothing.
good.
And so the other person at work that ended up having it, she paid for one $125. She went to an urgent care to get it. And I was like, you know that I've done the CVS one and it's free. And she's like, what? Yeah, she paid $125, and so I started looking it up. Yeah, these are over $100. Like, there's places charging up to $200.
Yeah,
and I was like, how have I completely missed? How did I get 2 free ones?
are the ones where that she paid? Did they do it for her? Like,
Yeah,
did they?
yeah.
I think that's part of it, maybe. And maybe like
I guess.
And maybe in some other cities, like if you go to like major cities like New York or
Yeah.
LA, it's like lines around the block. Maybe.
I'm curious because like my mom got tested because she was the one who would have been like the most like between me and her
Chance.
or between the whole family, like the biggest chance of me giving it to her. And then, but she went to her hospital, which is like Kaiser. And then just recently, my little sister got tested just to make sure. And they're both doing it at the hospital. So I'm assuming like if they're going to get a bill later on going like, hey, insurance only covered $10, you guys are still like $125 or something. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
But yeah, I've got like completely lucky. I've done it twice, completely free. So that's insane.
Are your siblings still like, get out of here, bro?
No. No, but we're still playing it safe. Like, if ever we're inside the house, we wear a mask. If we go like the backyard, we have like a pretty big backyard. We can we take off our masks and we just chill outside or whatever, and like distance ourselves from each other. But yeah, I mean, like, cause again, like I just worry. Like I don't want that like that.
That you don't want that feeling back.
Yeah, that feeling like of. Well, I mean, like the feeling of being like I'm the one who gave it to them.
Oh yeah.
Even though like I'm no longer contagious or anything, but like I just never know.
Wild Vargas.
But yeah, I mean.
Okay. So what have you been up to for fun?
Other than that, for fun, I played like within like all of the week. I've only played like 5 hours of Last of Us, and that was all on one day.
Damn.
But like, dude, I really enjoy that story so far. I don't know, like, I'm worried, like, you guys talking about like these crazy twists and stuff, or like these crazy things that happen, and we'll see. We'll see if it stops my momentum.
It might not. I mean, depending on how you feel going through the story, some of those mechanics stuff might just be like, oh, whatever, power through.
Yeah, power through.
Wow.
Well, we'll see. But yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Wait, I have a question. Do you like this one better or the first one? As of now.
Current.
As of right now, because I know the whole game of the first one, I still enjoy the first one. I think once I finish this one, I can give it a more accurate.
Yeah. Well, it's just cool to take a read of like as you're going through.
But so far, this is like obviously it's like top 5 right now. In games I've played, like it's going really well. But yeah, again, like the story can drastically change for me, and I'll be like, whoa, I don't like this anymore or something.
Jen kept saying stuff when he was playing while I was watching the stream. He's like, this should happen. I think this is gonna happen. I was like sitting there. I'm like,
this scare's gonna happen.
I can tell something's about to happen. And then like a second later, he's like, damn, I knew it. And then a second thing happened.
Didn't expect the second one. But yeah, so I've played it. Really enjoy it.
Can you guys check the connection on your mics? I got 2 like spikes just happen, but
Check.
I can clean them up anyway.
Okay. But so far we're good now?
Yeah, we're good.
I been enjoying it. So I was under the assumption that I could beat it before this week is over. So I was planning on playing over the weekend, but over the weekend I was just like, I can. And then Monday I was like, I'll start playing it now, and I'll play like 5 hours a day. It'll make up for the time that I haven't played or whatever. Didn't end up playing on Monday, and then I played Tuesday. I played Tuesday thinking like, is it still giving me trouble?
It's like movement is doing it, so I'm trying to like minimize movement.
Move. Just stay still.
I think it's mine.
Oh. You could like unplug it and plug it back in. Check it. Just to make sure while I'm talking.
I'm worried it'll mess with it. It's fine.
Okay.
I'm just not gonna move it.
So I what was I saying?
5 hours, and then you.
Oh yeah. So I played
Monday
on Tuesday,
game, yeah.
and for some reason, like I played on Tuesday, knowing it was Tuesday, but then I felt like I still got 3 more days to play. Not
Before
taking
today's
account,
play.
not taking account like on actual Thursdays when we record. So then I played Tuesday, and then like Wednesday I was like, cool, I can do Wednesday, and then I can do the next day, and that's what I was texting you guys, and I was like, I started realizing like what day it was and how everything works with time as we were like texting each other, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna get anywhere near beating this game. So then I got discouraged and I ended up not playing yesterday. And then today I don't have time to play because we just like immediately after work,
But you got a
30
long
minutes
weekend.
later. But yeah, now I got a long weekend. But I was just trying to finish it so we can like have that as a topic or talk about it at least.
That's gonna be, I think, a full episode.
Next one.
I mean,
hopefully we'll see.
It's setting your like we both finished,
don't
so
put
maybe
pressure on me.
maybe
I'm gonna
that.
finish the second playthrough before you finish the first.
Oh, the race! It's a race.
Damn. Hey, that's good though. I like competition.
Yeah.
Now I'll beat it before even.
I remember when he did that with Uncharted. You're like, I can
Oh
do
my
it,
gosh,
and you
dude.
did it in like a
I don't
day.
know. I don't know what happened to me.
And meanwhile, we're watching his
over.
YouTube thing, and he's like, kill count or death count 250.
So I did a playthrough on both 1 and 2,
Yeah.
and both were like close to 6 hours. It was like 6.5 hours on both, almost, which is really like I was like, these guys got it down. Like the developers, I was like, holy shit, they got it down to like really close to each other.
Yeah.
And that obviously that's a speed run. Like if you play it slower, it's like close to like 10 hours or something like that, or even longer than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I've been playing that, and then what else?
You watch
Look-
anything? Go to the movies?
No, I haven't watched anything. I'm looking forward to Cyberpunk. The more I see of it, the more I'm excited for it.
What about like the story, the world?
The world.
Yeah.
Cyborgs.
Yeah, I love the cyberpunk look, and the cyborgs is a huge. I love like robotic type stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's something I'm excited for. I'm just worried
You know
like
they put the Akira bike in it.
if the thing is I'm worried about is like if it play like it looks like it might play like what is it? Dos Ex.
Oh,
Human,
Deus Ex Human Revolution?
And I mean, it was a fun game. I just didn't enjoy how it actually played.
Dude, I love that. The first one that
Yeah.
came out in the recent years.
So we'll see, because it is like essentially it's a first-person game, and then when you go in a car, it becomes like that third-person view.
Yeah, I've heard the main gripe people have been having, because there's been more gameplay, hands-on experiences, is that from a shooter standpoint, it's not as satisfying. But
Yeah.
don't think of this as a shooter.
Yeah.
And it'll help you frame that a little bit better, like your expectations. So
Yeah, just turn on the GTA mode.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you saw. There's like a misquote or whatever where they were saying like, yeah, the guy says there's a GTA mode or whatever, and the guy's like, what he meant is what he actually did say was like, people have that GTA mode
Yeah,
on,
yeah. and
that's not
Like
what this is.
perspective.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like a
phrasing, dude, phrasing.
But yeah, just Last of Us for me, and I haven't really done much on Mouse Tales.
What have you been
I'm
doing?
playing Streets of Rage 4. I'm sick and tired of that fucking game. I've beaten it like for
Are you
30
trying to
times.
unlock everything or
I'm
something?
trying to unlock all the characters.
So you
and-
still 30 times you still haven't unlocked all the characters?
no.
Damn.
So like
Now I have to
There's
pick it
like-
up and play it and get it and unlock everything.
In a single playthrough.
I know. There's like I think there's like 10 levels, right? Each level gets you about 15 to 18,000 points. You need like 1 million points to unlock everything.
Oh, so you use those points like to be able to buy like a character you want?
So it's
I
just
mean, it doesn't
farming
buy,
points.
it just unlocks once you
Oh.
hit a certain point number. But
Gotcha.
I'm at like 700,000, 30 playthroughs.
Gotta grind, bro.
Fuck this game. I've been playing a man of my word. I said I would beat The Last of Us before this podcast, and
I'm not a man of my word, dude.
You were close though. You're like, I got an hour
and
left. I'm like,
see, this is like spoiler territory. I knew that the game was 30 hours long, so I kind of calculated it. I was like, okay, I could probably take 2 days off and still like beat it. And then that last sequence, so I hit the last sequence like, okay, I'm done for tonight. I thought I had an hour left.
It was his whole stream.
So it's
What did you end clock at? Like your total
it
hours?
was probably like 33 or 34.
Okay. I played on a super easy difficulty and I clocked in, I think, just shy of 30, like around 25, 28.
I'm thinking I might be close to his time, because.
But you're playing on an easier difficulty like me,
I
and
am-
that helps.
I am,
would say.
yeah, but like I feel like I'm playing because I normally like I'm pretty much speed run through
Yeah.
things. So like I'm not doing that, and like when I did the 2 hours, a lot of like reviews say like within the first 2 hours you see something.
Yeah.
And I played 2 hours. I played like a 2.5 hours, and I did not see
The thing.
anything yet. And so, but then as soon as like I went back on it, like immediately right after that, I turned into it. So like.
So
I am a little slower than I guess what people are gauging everything.
I don't know. You might be somewhere in between both of those because the way I was playing was when it came to looting and just searching the town for notes and stuff, I was pretty thorough. I was like 80% thorough. But when it came to the encounters, I was just like balls out. Like I don't give a fuck. Like I remember seeing Jang just like, damn, I need to reset this encounter. I need to.
But
yeah,
yeah,
I-
you're
A normal human being would have just, if they fucked up, they would just fight it through. I was like resetting.
you were
very
just
thorough
tripping
too,
left
though,
and right. You were.
You're very thorough too. You're going through everything, or
Yeah,
no?
but I didn't even unlock this trophy for Seattle, Ellie. So I guess you can unlock, discover, because there's
Everything?
a part where it like opens up.
Yeah.
I know for sure I'm not gonna get it because like there's like I know already like there's parts where you go through and it's like which way should we go, and like there's like 3 little paths and
I
then
do
each
like.
one has
I
houses.
kept navigating all of them.
I like take one path and I'll be throwing that path
Get
and
that
I leave
trophy?
everything else.
Discover all of Seattle.
I'll have to check.
But yeah,
me check real quick.
I'll take one path and I'll leave everything else. So like I don't check the other house. I don't like go like that like little windy path that you're talking about. I just go through one and like be thorough in that section. And then like the thing is when I find notes,
Yeah.
I'd be like, man, I should probably go back and like see if there's any notes because like I love those things, dude. I love reading those.
There's some good ones.
Yeah.
In this one.
Yeah, I love reading those notes and seeing the context.
What was the trophy called?
I don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
It's just like Discover all of Seattle or something. I don't know what it's called exactly.
Discovering.
But it's through Ellie's playthrough. But there was a part in the game that made me tear up, and a tear fell down. But I was just like blinking. You couldn't tell. You see me blinking like crazy. Ding, ding, ding.
I'm excited because like again, I got very emotional with the astronaut scene.
Oh, yeah, this one is way more.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
For me, it was.
The sound design in this game is amazing and evoking a lot of that for me. Like those moments, like the astronaut one, where it's just like you hear all the effects. You're like, "Fuck, this is like."
And visual too, and you're just like,
Yeah.
fuck, dude. Like, is it really happening right now?
So I mean, I'm not gonna spoil it. I questioned the moment that happened for the first 2 hours.
Okay.
Why did they tell the story like this?
Yeah.
Like they should have left that at the end. After seeing the ending, I'm like, it fucking makes sense. There's no other way you could tell the story. Like,
But it's a shitty game, though, right?
GG, Neil Druckmann. He's gonna
And
come.
he co-wrote it with Haley. I forget her name, but like, yeah, everyone involved with this. I was just like,
Wait, Haley, is that the girl who plays Ellie?
no.
Oh.
That's Ashley.
Oh, Ashley.
something.
Ashley Johnson, and
Yeah, I'm really bad with names.
the thing is, like, I don't understand the hate that this game is getting. Like, I'm playing it, and I'm like, I don't understand it. Like, these people didn't play the game.
I'm curious because like
Haley
a lot of
Gross is the name of the co-writer.
a lot of people like they're a lot of this hate's coming from like the fact that it got early or it got spoiled or whatever.
Yeah.
It's out of
But-
context.
Yeah, it's out of context stuff, and like
It's a lot of
a
things.
script. Like even if it was like a full script, it generally doesn't depict like what an actor is going to show emotion wise. Like
Yeah,
when he's like
the context.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all the,
So-
everything involved with that.
yeah,
The performance.
So like, I mean, so far, like, dude, this game for me is amazing, and like, yeah, the acting is holy shit. Like,
Well, some of the other discourse I've seen is like representation, either lack thereof or misrepresentation.
yeah,
Diversity, lack thereof, or
it's not lacking diversity.
Well-
For me, it's not. Fuck.
again, yeah. I'm reading the accounts of the people that are saying it, and they're like, I'm of that community or something, and they're talking their perspective. But like, I'm not dismissing them. but I'm also seeing several that are pointing out that are of those various communities saying like this is so crazy to see a game of this caliber showcasing that, like, for the main protagonist of a game of this like AAA developer on like one of the biggest consoles to be a female, you know.
Yeah, they totally forced it, dude. Yeah, totally.
But like to make it so strong of a performance of like Ellie, you know, female homosexual protagonist, and like be on this caliber on PlayStation's like front, and I'm like, I don't know. I think that's a positive in my, but I'm not like, there's many things that people have experiences of, and there's like the violence is another part of it, but like I don't know how you guys are. A lot of people that I was reading critical analysis of was like when characters are calling out names, NPCs are calling out names or of animals' names and stuff, it's supposed to like it was like making them uncomfortable.
Yeah.
To me, I was like, this is just another like I didn't notice it. It wasn't like a big glare. Was it for you guys? Was it like
I didn't.
So yeah, like when
like,
people, I saw reviews like that, and I was expecting to be like, I don't know, like to be moved or like be like, oh crap, like fuck, I don't want to do this, you know, whatever. But like, it's not like, I don't know if I as soon as I grab someone, I immediately just like square. So it's just Ellie going shut up, bush. And so there isn't usually much, and like I don't like let them pass. Well, I don't know. I haven't, obviously there's still so much more for me to get to the game part, but a lot of them haven't pathed to like a body, like their friend's body or anything. So I haven't heard them like really just yell for their friends or anything. If anything, it's just like I've taken a certain I don't know.
Yeah.
You guys were keeping this enemy a secret, so I don't want to say the enemy on this one. But
Bush.
I mean, I don't
some
know.
of the critical analysis, I'm like, I feel like it was heavily weighted, and I didn't feel that way personally in my experience. So I was like, am I alone?
If it's like, obviously, like I know for sure I'm desensitized to video game violence specifically because I've played so many games that just have insane violence. Like GTA, I can just run over people. Like it's
Mortal Kombat
doesn't feel much. Yeah, it doesn't feel much because you know, like there isn't much to it when it comes to it being a video game.
There is an interesting article. Oh, go ahead.
There's like 2 scenes that made me legit squirm in this game.
There are moments that make you feel uncomfortable. And I think it is very much intentional. They were actually talking about something. They're like, the feelings like were they trying to make people frustrated in those opening moments with like the specific incidents? Were they trying to make like players angry with that? And they're like, that's a part of it, and it's very much like we could have played that scene out much like how in the first game at the beginning where you feel helpless and you feel sad. But the way we wanted to portray this one was we wanted to make you feel like Ellie and be frustrated, be angry, and that's the way that's the context and the framing we use. I'm like, I don't know, like it's like the interview I told you guys about that Greg Miller did with Troy Baker, Ashley, and Neil Druckmann was very insightful. Like it was kind of like a behind the scenes.
Can I see that without spoilers?
No, it's all spoilers. It's like they go into a lot of the ending.
But I'm assuming, I'm assuming with this, like if I were to not know that and go into it, they tell me in the beginning, like this is gonna have spoilers, by the way, or no? They don't say that.
So you know how YouTube now has like you can do chapters within timestamps.
Yeah.
They list out spoilers in those timestamps. So I would just probably
I'm going to say this.
It's great. It's good to look at after because they talk about more in depth about some of this stuff. And then I was going to say, so there was this article that I saw that was actually interesting. It was talking about like so many games believe that like the action, the things you engage with in it are violence and shooting. It's like that's the thing. Whatever the story is, it could be a moving story, it could be a funny story, but it's always with violence. Like the violence is the action you do. And then you get games like Mario Galaxy, or you get like, I don't know, maybe Death Stranding or something like that, where they don't. And they were wondering if like there's a market push of like producers being like, this sells, we need shooting in a game to make it. And they were pointing out moments in this game that showed that maybe it's possible to not have violence be involved at all in a storytelling like on this AAA level, such as like that astronaut scene. Like if you can tell, like make a game like this on this level without that, but it's like they were saying like this game still relies on it, you know, either because of the story or not because of it, but it was a commentary on like violence being innately entwined with most video games.
Yeah.
was interesting.
I'm gonna have to say, I don't think I've played a game like this, like story-wise, structured. Like, I can't think of another game that's like this. Like,
Yeah,
My
I was-
girlfriend was like thoroughly invested. She's like, in the morning, you gotta.
Hey, no, Rico.
She was like, you gotta tell me what happens when I wake up, because I would be up late playing it. And then she's like, so what happened? I was like, okay, so you remember this character, right? And then this happened, and then when you thought this happens, like, so back, and I would be like,
Quit
okay,
playing
so
Valorant right
Did
now.
you give her a quick excerpt of the first one?
yeah, I would
Okay.
like every time it involves something, I was like, so Joel in the first game is who you play as, and then this happens, and then it ends in this way, and so you don't know, and that's why this scene makes someone. I was giving her like this whole spiel,
Yeah, context and stuff.
and like I was afraid she was gonna be like, just shut up already, but she was like, wait,
Yeah, uh-huh.
wait, so why didn't he do anything because of that? Like I thought that was related. I was like, no, because that, and that. She's like, oh, she's
I mean,
like,
this is not spoilers for Vargas. I was kind of disappointed. There's a character that doesn't return from the first one, and I thought for sure he's going to be in this one. Bill, I thought he was going to be in this one.
He's mentioned too. There's a point where Ellie is
Oh yeah,
riding with a friend, and she's like, yeah. There is this friend who like booby trapped this whole town.
yeah, when they reminisce about stuff in the first game, it's like she'll say stuff in the beginning of the game. She's like, Joel and Tommy know how to take care of shit, and you're like, yeah, they do.
Yeah, fuck.
Yeah, they're like, because in this town they're just like, calm, kind people, like homely, and you're like,
Yeah,
But-
I love that it like they talk about like that. They're like, yeah, Tommy's like he's done some shit, and they're like, no, yeah, I'm sure. And then like you go through like a path, and you're like,
Tommy did this.
You're like, wait, did Tommy do this? And she's like,
You're like, yeah.
this looks like Tommy's stuff. And you're like,
Shit.
what? You're like,
Nani?
You're like, Nani? I didn't expect that. So that's
I'm
like really good.
excited for you to beat it so we can talk about our fucking spoiler cast. Fuck.
Dang it.
Excitement.
I feel bad because I was like,
Don't
I'll-
feel bad.
No. I just like because I had said like I'll do Final Fantasy VII, and
I
now
thought
like
you were gonna
that's
beat
on
me.
hiatus.
I was like, damn, I thought for sure you're going to beat me.
It's just like I still like I'm not fully 100% back. Like that's just what it is, man. So, but
You should play both those games. We should finish this, and I want to talk to you about the 7 stuff later, but there's no rush on that one.
all right.
And I finished Coraline.
The book?
Now on to the next book.
The movie,
Oh.
It's like a 2-hour read.
the movie is like the button eyes.
So it's different. It's fucking. So I don't remember the movie because I saw it high and 3D, and I had a headache. All I remember was there was a spider scene at the end, right, in the movie.
Yeah. Gummies in your tummy?
That's not in the book. There's no spider scene. And I was like reading it. I was like, "There's no spider scene." Huh.
Like, this is lame. Where's the
It's weird.
spider?
Like I was reading the reviews, and people like prolific authors are saying, "Oh, this book's so scary." Well, first of all, I don't think it's a children's book, and it's marketed as a children's book.
Yeah.
But I was like reading it. And I was like, "This is not scary at all." Like
I know that
it's creepy, but
the sister who's older was freaked out by buttons at that point.
shit.
Like I guess any dolls that had like the button eyes as eyeballs, she was like, fuck that shit.
are their mothers waiting
Fuck
for
that
you?
shit. But that was in regards to the movie because obviously visual, it's a more effective.
So this
there you
book
go.
has pictures. Yeah, so it's creepy.
It's a picture book.
Comic book?
No, that's the book. Dave McKean,
Okay.
Sandman cover artist. did the
ooh.
illustration.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I can see how that gets creepy. Okay, cool. What's your next book?
Bintu? It's a book called Bintu. Neil Gaiman raves about it. It's like a 3-book series, very easy to read.
Where have you been to?
Nowhere.
Hamilton tomorrow.
Oh, that's right.
Go.
The 10th?
Pick up.
Wasn't it? I thought it was
No.
the 10th.
July 3rd or 4th.
It's this weekend.
I'm gonna pick up Disney Plus, cancel it 1 month.
Bro, it's crazy because like I'm gonna be able to watch it now, but I almost paid like $250 for these tickets, dude. Like
I mean,
way back
it's a
when.
theater experience versus.
Yeah, but like you get to finally experience
Yeah.
at least something compared
Right.
to nothing.
Like, I'll say, having seen the Cursed Child theater performance, that was, I don't think would like, the things that blew my mind were not things that could translate to a screen. Because
Yeah.
it's like, you're in there, and they would do these effects on stage that you're like, whoa, how'd they do that?
CBD.
Yeah, it's the gummies in my tummy.
Yeah, when I did my trip to New York, I saw Lion King live or like on Broadway
Stage.
essentially, and yeah, dude, like I don't know, dude, and I think what's cool too is like I had like I did a post about it, like thinking like I can't believe like Broadway's like a thing. This is amazing. And the girl who plays Nala like liked it and like commented like we are able to do this because of people like you who come and
That's awesome.
Watching. I thought it was really cool.
Cool. Anything else, Jay?
Nope.
We've been trying to get through the Studio Ghibli films. So,
How many total have you watched so far?
Fireflies?
no, it's not on HBO. So definitely like,
Are you sure?
yeah. It like there's a Studio Ghibli like tab, and you click it, and it's not in there. I'm like, thank God.
Could have swore I saw it.
Maybe they just like messed up, but if you like Google
I'm okay.
search it,
No, thank you. Like, we just watched Poco Rosso,
dude, I
forgot. Did you watch them in English or both, dubbed and sub?
I've only ever watched them in Jap. Oh no, that one I did watch in English because that's one of the Studio Ghiblis I had not seen yet.
Okay.
And I watched it in theaters, and they were doing like a weird thing where it's like every other time they showed it, it was either Japanese or English, and I was only able to catch it at an English showing, so I ended up watching it in English.
I know people are diehard, sub fans, but like the Studio Ghibli films have great performances for the
Dude,
English.
they hire like amazing actors.
Yeah, like Michael Keaton plays Poco Rosso, and the antagonist pilot is played by the Dread Pirate.
Oh yeah.
I forget his name. He's in Saw, and they just a bunch of great actors and actresses. So yeah, we just watched it. Katie's never seen it. She was like, "That was pretty good.
That one was
it
really,
fun."
I liked it a lot.
But I'm excited because it's like watching these older ones, like the first ones, like My Neighbor Totoro, that one. They're like really just small plot. Like it's just like a little thing that they're like tussling, but it's like fun to be in the world. When I'm excited when we get to like films like Howl's Moving Castle, Princess Mononoke, Spirited Away, where it's these grand tales of like large scale.
And then
like,
the animation style looks better
It's
as well.
polished.
Like it gets more polished.
yeah, I can definitely tell from like the earlier ones with like Castle in the Sky, it's good, but you can see like the older style to it. And then when you get to like Kiki or Poco Rosso, like the style is just like looking crisp and good. So we've been enjoying those. You want to talk about Gumis and My Tumi's show? Midnight Gospel is trippy as fuck. It's 15 minutes, and it's literally this like, it's like Adventure Time LSD trip.
So it's a cartoon?
Yeah, it's a cartoon, 15-minute episodes, and this guy is literally doing podcast interviews, but he's like watching streams of people. He's like, okay, so the last episode I watched, he's watching this alien stream of some guys like, I need ice cream, no ice cream, I have an ice cream truck. He's like, I gotta get this guy ice cream. So he gets into his vagina teleporter. It literally looks like a vagina. And he's like, I'm gonna find a planet in a multiverse that has ice cream. So he types in ass cream, and he misspells it. So he's like, okay, gotta go to this planet. It's all water. He finds a fish head robot body guy who has a entire pirate crew of cats. And he just goes and meets him. He's like, hey, and I wanted to see if you have an ice cream and maybe, pick your brain. And he's got like these robots that are following him like to podcast.
Yeah.
And they're talking about magic versus meditation as if it's like, and like the whole episode isn't even about anything. It's just like what I think about magic versus meditation, like where like this Western philosophy is Eastern. And then the episode, like they're going through the actions of like cats pooping ice cream and like this random shit happening in reincarnated unicorns. And then I'm like, I don't know what just happened, but that was good 15 minutes.
It reminds me of Super Joe.
Kind of less violent.
Oh.
Yeah.
Less violent.
Random.
It's funny because when you said like he misspells it ass cream, I was assuming like actual cream for the ass, and you're over here talking about cats pooping ice cream. So that was the ass cream. Got it.
Kitty titty.
So watching that a little bit, but outside of those, I'm not really watching too much. I had beaten Last of Us last episode. I needed something to like change my palate.
Yeah.
So I played a little bit with you, and one of your friends, I think. Yeah.
Foley.
Yeah.
Foley.
Yeah. And someone else. I forget who.
Was it Foley's friend?
No.
It was client.
Monado.
Yeah.
Oh, Monado.
Yeah.
What?
Monado.
Yeah, because
Is he streaming again?
He's just been playing.
Yeah.
He's been on it, dude. He's been playing that a lot.
Because we did competitive. We did the placements.
Right.
Yeah. We
And you
gotta
guys placed.
Bronze
Yeah, I
3,
placed
baby.
worst. But I got the fucking win kill on the last one. Bullshit.
I should be platinum now.
Bullshit. Anyway, yeah. So I started and finished Pyre. I had it. It was the Supergiant game from the guys that made Bastion and Transistor. That game is fun. It's like it's fantasy NBA Jam. Like I've heard that said so many times, but I was like, I don't understand. You're in like this world where it's like everyone gets sent. It's like a prison world. Everyone gets sent here that's banished from the good place, and everyone's sent for different reasons. And you get randomly picked up by this crew that's like, hey, we're trying to play. Like the only way out of here is by winning this series of tournaments. And when you do that, you can get there's a chance of getting out. So you want to join us? We need someone. We're not literate. We need someone to read the rules and the magic and shit. And you can read. So you be our reader and pick. And then as you go, you pick up more people and you pick your teams of 3, and you can upgrade them. And they have their backstories and they all talk about all of that. And there's like interrelated stuff where it's like, you used to be part of the crew that I hated in the old world and fuck you. And then later like, all right, you're all right. The art style is great.
I got it.
The music is amazing. The gameplay, like, I wasn't understanding it at first because what you do is you have 3 characters and you have abilities with each one of them. And you can only use those abilities when you don't have the ball. So when you do have the ball, you're prone to attacks. And the other 2 characters don't move unless you're playing as them. So like if I just go with the guy with the ball, the other 2 guys are just sitting at my base. I'm like, I don't understand, like, seems very weird, but whatever. I just wanted to play the story. And as I'm playing it, I started realizing some strategies. And like I would move a guy who had a large sphere of like shield. I would instantly move him to the center to kind of just zone him out, and then I would move my small guy to just like move bob and weave through.
Yeah.
So it was really, like, as I started understanding a few other strategies as well. Some guys can fly, some guys can like throw the ball into like it's like 3-pointers, dunks, all that shit. Literally, like they find a way to make it sense. And then as you're getting through it, you go through, and you can only send one person to freedom. And so you have to pick. And so the guys that I started with are like the most experienced, highest level. I started sending them first. I'm like, you guys earned it. And like, you guys have been here longer than anyone.
Since the beginning.
You're the OG crew. So I started sending them through. And then I started realizing the matches were getting tougher because I was playing with the shitty. I hate either the shittier characters or the characters I didn't level up as much. And I was like, fuck, I fucked myself. But I'm like, I feel like I need to send the people I care about more first. Because there are some characters that are not able to go through.
So you're like, I just keep them.
So the way it ends was pretty interesting because it can change, like the various iterations of which things could pan out could be monumentally different between all 3. Because depending on the order you send them, depending on who you send, there's like 8 or 9 characters. So all the different combinations of like order and who gets sent through make a difference.
Yeah.
Definitely recommend it. And there was actually a Steam sale for the Supergiant games. I want to play Hades now, which is their...
Oh, I want that.
I guess when they first came out on Epic Games was when it came out?
I have it.
It was in really, really early access.
Yeah.
Now it's like we're about to launch it like full. So if you play it now, you're playing pretty much full version. So I got it now on sale on Steam.
So I've played it. It took me a very long time to get to the beta ending, essentially.
Okay.
And when I get to it, I was like, oh, sick. Like, there's going to be more. And, like, no matter what happens, no matter if you're successful or unsuccessful, it's the same ending.
Okay.
Where it says, like, you thought you could have beat me or something like that. And I was just like, what the fuck, man? I was pissed. And so, like, they finally updated it, and like they updated it, like add a new weapon and all this stuff, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if like they like increase the ending or whatever. I get to the ending and the exact same shit. I was like, God damn it!
So the thing I've been hearing that enticed me was the ways in which like the interactions to the endings. It's like on one playthrough you could meet an ex-girlfriend, and that could make your dad like the ex-girlfriend and like take her under his wing. Another playthrough you could like get another guy to side with you. It's like. It was less about the ending. It was more about like the character interaction.
I don't know about that. So
I don't know.
Hades is the one where like you're a
son of Hades.
Yeah, and then you're trying to in the story you're trying to escape essentially.
Yeah, you keep having to play through it, so like Dead Cells.
So what happens is like throughout when you play, each like stage will have like a reward before you leave. And so it could either be monetary or it could be like more health or more power.
Yeah.
And the power is associated through gods. So like you if you choose like it'll be 2. So it could be like Zeus, and it could be Poseidon, essentially.
Okay.
And so each one, like when you choose them, they have like a set category of what they could buff.
All right.
And when you choose them, it gives you a 3 random ones.
Okay.
And so you choose which one you want to buff. But when you do it, it is an interaction. So when you choose it, you're like, oh, I see you decided to choose me. And like, you know, and it goes on. And then obviously, like, if you're like, I've chosen Poseidon, I might as well just continue choosing Poseidon and like stack this buff or like or make it like that type of
Build.
play style build essentially. And every time he like talks about it. And then there are moments where it's like there's 2 right next to each other. Well, usually when it's that moment when you choose one, the other one's like, I can't believe you didn't choose me. And he's like prepare to get like punished, and like shit happens that normally those enemies will have kind of like a similar buff to what that god gives you.
Okay.
But I've never seen like, it seems like the standard interactions have always been the same for me, and it hasn't. But I've never really paid attention because like I kind of just like
You were
rushed
going through
that.
it to the ending.
Just rushed through
I'm
that part.
curious. I'll see. But after Pyre, I just got back into Destiny again. I was like taking a break because of The Last of Us, and I wanted another game. And I still want to keep going. Like I feel like I'm on a momentum of finishing some games, and I feel like I need a game like Death Stranding now. Like so, I stopped at chapter 3, which I know is like the big chapter.
Guess which game I'm going to play next after I platinum?
Witcher 3.
Metal Gear Solid. Wolfenstein.
Yes.
I heard you. Leaked spoilers. I need to go back and finish that one too. But Death Stranding was one I was like, man, I like the traversal and the open world. Like not the open world, but like the exploration that Last of Us had, but minus the
open world.
the dread, like the terrifying shit, clickers and stuff. And I know that Death Stranding has the weird shit and stuff, but I liked just like running around with music. I don't know, it was soothing. So I'm kind of like, I want to go back to it. But anyway, Destiny, I've started paying attention to min-maxing on armor. So I found out that like there's a tool like on a Chrome extension that I can look at my whole inventory and just like find what,
Because it adds like more mobility, more something else, more resilience.
and I've like learned that like only 2 or 3 really matter. And so I've like, okay, I'm just going to find out which ones and finally just build, because they're doing what's called sunsetting gear. They're taking gear that's been literally the meta for so long and being like, these items are going to be capped and they will not progress to the new level caps, so that people could then use new stuff. The hope is they introduce new gear that's different, and rather than making you go for the same gear just under a new skin. But now I'm like, I hadn't put that much time and thought into like upgrading my armors, because you can like spend a lot of resources to upgrade, but if you're not picking the ones that matter, you're gonna keep doing that over and over. So I'm like, I'm gonna find one set of gear that I'm like, this is my gear, and upgrade it. Not the guns, the armor.
Yeah.
And people, like, the other thing that I didn't even ever pay attention to is mods. Like, people make insane builds based on the mods. They'll be like, if you put this one in here and put these 3 here, you will have infinite grenades. And I'm like,
Because the recharge.
huh?
Mixed armor set?
Yeah, mixed. It was like, okay, you're enticing me. So I'm watching a few of these videos, and I'm like, okay, I think I can do some
That's
of these.
funny. And here I am stacking like 1,000 mods. Or like not using them. I just have them on.
Yeah,
like,
same.
Maybe
It's like-
when I get the best in gear in slot, I'll use it. And I'm just
I mean, you're
never
telling me
use it.
there are like guns where if you get a headshot, it auto reloads or
Oh,
shit
the
like
Jackrabbit or something.
So there, some of those are also where they've had random rolls brought back into the game again, and so I'm grinding some good rolls or making sure I've saved like 8 different versions of a gun. I'm like, I'm gonna finally pay attention and like
That's the
delete.
problem I had with like the random rolls is
So-
I'll have like 4 or 5 different versions of a gun.
Yeah, and like I was watching Jing's stream one night. I'm like, I'm just gonna sit here and clear out my inventory and get rid of all these multiples and be like, that's the gun of this I'm keeping, that's the blank of this I'm keeping. And so I'm in a good place with it. I'm just like, okay, this will be a good step forward. So I'm doing that, and then I think that's it. I started jump roping. I didn't want to go to gyms again.
Switch?
Huh? No, I didn't do that one yet.
Bro, so I forgot to say, I bought it. I bought Ring Adventure.
Oh, Ring Fit?
Yeah, it came in like yesterday, I think.
Nice.
So I'm
You
excited.
gotta listen to how it is, because I played some of it. I'm curious what you think.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to go ham on it, cause like, dude. So because of this
Speedrunners,
whole,
dude.
because of this whole social distancing and stay home, like that is a hard to find game.
It is.
If you find it like third,
It's like
third
right
party,
under the Switch. That's the second hardest.
if
thing.
you find a third party, it's like over $100, dude. And I was like, God damn it! And I ended up finding it for standard price, so I bought it.
So I've been like trying to look for like games that I don't have that I want to buy that are kind of old. You know what's really expensive? Sealed. Metal Gear Solid HD Legacy. Collection.
Really? I have it sealed.
You do?
Yeah.
It's a $150 game.
What the fuck?
Congratulations. Look
Mine-
at Amazon right now.
Mine isn't sealed, but it's PS3.
I'm hoping.
I have
Yes.
that one,
I need to check if I've opened it.
but
or not.
I've opened.
I don't know open, but
I don't
sealed?
think I've opened it because like I never played. I bought it thinking like
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna be able to play this whole entire series. I just never touched it.
You know what else I'm looking for? The Infinite, Capcom Infinite. It's like a $40 game. I mean, it's more than it should be, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
And
because it's an older game. It should be
Yeah.
like a 15,
Yeah.
$10.
Crazy.
Supreme.
Billionaires Club, dude. Billionaire Boys Club,
Do you
dude.
guys want to get into the topics?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do
Okay.
it.
It's been too long already.
Speaking of The Last of Us,
Speaking of the
Jason Schreier tweeted out, video games are long,
devil. Or too long.
or too long. And Troy Baker, voice of Joel, he retweeted it with a quote from Teddy Roosevelt. The gist of it saying, like, the only people who can critique are the ones that participate in
Yeah,
whatever.
in creating or
And it was part of it was also like critics only know so much.
Right, right.
You know, the ones that know it are the ones that went through it. Or yeah.
Right. So, what are your thoughts on Troy Baker's hot take?
I don't know. I think he's right and wrong. I mean, because the thing is, like, we have review sites. Like, it's become a huge thing. Like, we have like Metacritic. We have all these things. Like, critics are something that people will pay attention to just to see, like, maybe is this game worth it
Can
for
I
me?
spend?
Is
Should I
it-
spend money on this?
You know, like some people only played like 90
Like-
plus scored
or-
games. you
Or
know,
Anthony
like-
Fantano?
So, I mean, I think critics are still. There's still something for critics to say, you know, but you have to. I feel like you have to take it for a grain of salt. Like it's everyone lives a different life and has a different perspective. So like one person will play a game and be like, "This is way too harsh. I don't think anyone should ever play this game." And someone will play a game and like those parts will get overlooked and they'll be like, "Dude, this game's amazing. Like it's so emotional. Like, you know, there's emotions going through me with this astronaut scene and stuff like that." So I don't know. I think you have to take it with a grain of salt. I found it weird that Troy Baker mentioned or said anything to that comment because it was just a general like.
But
game for too long.
So the thing was, Jason Schreier. I read through the responses because later he's like, it's crazy how when you put something so broad and you get so much hate, and like people were like, "Are you talking about Last of Us?" He's like, "Yes." In this case, I'm talking, but he's like, "I'm talking in general as well."
Yeah.
But in this particular case, it's my experience with Last. I thought. Okay, so here's a question: you spend 5+ years working on something, putting your heart into it, soul into it, working the blood, tears, like however many hours you put into it, and you put it out in the world, and it gets, you know, people are going to critic it, like even not even critics, just like regular average Joes are going to hate it, love it, whatever. How, in your guys' minds, how is it acceptable and how for those creators to respond to that feedback? Like, I feel like every time a sort of creator, an artist or whatever has responded to criticism in recent events, in recent timelines of stuff, they get
Defensive.
it gets put into a context of like, wow, like why are you being so defensive? Why are you taking it so hard, like poorly or whatever? And I'm like, how should you, like, if I was on that side and I put all this time and one person just says something like, this is too long, it's like, we felt like we put everything in. I don't know, like, how do you do that? And I didn't know. I was like, maybe that's how he felt he should.
Yeah.
And in my eyes, as an outsider, I'm like, that seems a little over dramatic. Like to like, I saw people making fun of it. He's like, video games are too long. Here's a Declaration of Independence. Leaving this here or stuff like that.
The thing is, like, I don't think
I'm
Troy
like-
is in the wrong for doing it, but like,
But I'm just like trying to be understanding of where he's coming from.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do think that some games are like, there is a conversation to be had. But I feel like when in the context of Twitter, Jason Schreier, for better or for worse, he likes to bait people a lot of times.
Yeah.
And I feel like he enjoys that. He like he gets some. He's like, all right, let's have some fun, and like he'll put something out that's maybe controversial or may have various opinions, and it's like
He's done a lot of broad tweets, and then all of a sudden
Sure.
everyone's like giving shit for it. He's like, no, it is about that. But
even again, not just specifically him. Twitter is a space where that is that thrives, and so I'm like, the medium in which you're doing this is also interesting. That you're maybe provoking or not.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I think so many things of it can be analyzed.
with what you're saying about, like, you know, obviously putting your heart and soul into something, it's taken like 5+ years or more or less or whatever.
Yeah, if you worked on like some.
You're gonna be vulnerable to everything that's gonna come out. Like, it's like essentially it's their baby. Like, it's
Sure.
like, I don't want you talking shit and saying my baby's ugly. Like,
But-
you know, please say it's a beautiful baby. But
Do you
like I feel like their view on something is also biased because they've worked on this for so long. They know like the hard work they put into it, but like at the end of the day, the person that's going to enjoy or critique
Not.
it is someone who doesn't know any of that. You know,
Right.
like it's just I feel like. I don't know. I feel like it's messed up saying like that's just how the world is. Like that's just a shitty ass comment to say, but I feel
Well,
like
yeah.
that's just
I
how
mean,
the world
like if you
is.
look at artistic works, like in museums, you're like they might have had an intention, but like what people remember or think of it and interpret it as might be completely different. Jane, you.
I mean, this is kind of old school. If you don't have anything nice to say, you shouldn't say anything at all. But I'm guilty of this.
Soap
Like,
in my mouth.
I'm guilty of this. I think as people who don't create like these games, we need to be kind of mindful that people do work hard on whatever media they worked on. So it's got to be constructive criticism if there is going to be criticism, and you're allowed to have criticism. I don't agree with Troy Baker, even if you didn't participate in the making of something. But just be more mindful of that people worked hard on whatever media. So
I mean, I had a similar thought when I saw Jason Schreier's tweet. I liked it immediately, and it was exactly because of Last of Us. I was like, bruh, I was thinking, I'm like, when I was younger, I was like, 30 hours is not enough for a game. Like, it needs to be fucking longer. And now that I don't know if I'm assuming it, obviously it's because I'm older, but
Could
like,
be a lot of reasons.
I started this game. I'm like, bro, this is gonna be too
it's
long.
kind of strange though. Like you play an RPG like 60 hours. That's too short of an RPG.
Yeah.
I was about to say, like, Jason
in an
Schreier
action
loves JRPGs, and I'm like, for a guy who's just like, give me a JRPG to sink my teeth, but then I think that also is a matter of like, what is the context of the game, or
Yeah.
when you're a dad, when you have a newborn, and when there's a pandemic, and when like so many things play into these things when we're adults.
Yeah.
Because when you're a kid, I think most people were like, I only have so many resources. I need the one that get the best bang for my buck.
Yeah.
So what do I get?
Sonic.
And kids nowadays are like Fortnite or World of Warcraft or
Yeah.
something they can just sink
Valorant.
into.
It's
Valorant. But then also you think about some of these other games like there were parts of Final Fantasy VII Remake that I was like, was that even needed? Like I felt like that was just padding, and it would have been better. It would have been if it was more condensed and
I should beat this game. We can talk about this.
Motto of the year. Yeah, I think just so many different perspectives, but I just keep like asking myself, like, if I made something for that long of a period, I haven't made anything that over that long of a period, but
Yeah.
This is kind of
how do I do I have permission to respond to it, and if so, how? Like, what is the correct?
kind of off topic? That the kind of funny that when they talk about the game, do they mention why they delayed it that very first time? Remember, it had a first release date.
I feel like that's something they can't really say, so probably
They
didn't.
talked a little bit about some of that, maybe, but it was like they spoke very broadly. They didn't specify first or second times. They were just like, we fine-tuned some things and we had to make sure like this mechanic, like they cited some examples of like certain things not working and having to like fix it or adjust it, but I don't think anything beyond that. I don't know, like I feel like some of those, maybe that's how some like film in the film industry, I think when people do like commentary tracks, I think that's their way of like talking about what they're like, giving some more perspective on their reasoning. Because I think that's the thing. It's like, why did you do these things? Why is the game this long? Why did you choose to do this in the narrative structure? Why did you choose to do that at the beginning of the game? And like a lot of that the rage. They were in the interview. They talk about like, what do you think of all the rage? And then on the reverse side of it, it's like I'm thinking of like in this game in particular. They were talking about how demoralizing it was when they heard about the leak. Like they were like, it was only a few thousand like views on like a YouTube video, but they were like, once we got that video locked, that waiting was dreadful because we knew it was going to get everywhere.
Yeah.
Like we knew everyone was, and it's like, then the criticism gets brought up of like, should reporters report on leaks? And then that becomes like a topic of its own of like, are they just promoting something that, you know, like, is it a big deal? And they're like, well, it's news, you know, and there's so many arguments, but
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah, something like that. I don't think you can ever like.
But it sucks, like when you're like, I worked, and then like literally in that home stretch, like had they not leaked it or had they not delayed it that first time, maybe the leak would never have happened because it would have happened before the game would have come out before that
Yeah.
point. And that sucks because it's just like a small sect of people like changed the narrative before this game because like the reviews, the user reviews, I think they tracked. They're like they didn't even play or finish the game. That many people that reviewed it that soon. Like it's just people just taking advantage of that review system. So I don't know. I think perspective helps. Like understanding what you're saying, Jang, where it's like understand where people are coming from and.
I mean, I've personally I've treaded on the side of like if I don't have anything nice to say, I won't say anything at all. So like I usually if like specifically I usually like I'll say like I love this movie. Like if I ever watch a movie, I'll be like, dude, this movie was really amazing, and I'll give it some points. Like this is why I liked it essentially.
Sometimes
but if ever I watch a movie that I didn't like it,
you gotta warn people.
sometimes if I watch it and if I watch the movie and I didn't like it,
Yeah.
I usually just don't say anything about it. I just don't. But like the thing is like I feel like that criticism has to be out there. Well, I mean,
I think
obviously
it's
I
good
could just be
because-
like, this movie sucked. You know,
I think
but
it's good for improvement. Like you want people to grow and to, like that's how games get better. That's how movies get better. It's like you provide constructive. Like if you just say
Yeah.
this sucks, like what do I get out of that? Nothing. But if you're like,
Like the sucker punch. Sucker punch debate. Release the Snyder Cut.
no, but like, I feel like if you're to say, I thought what you like, I love the discussions where it's like. You see something and it frustrates you because you didn't enjoy it, but you saw potential for enjoyment, and you're like, if only they did X, Y, and Z, I think it could have been a better product or a better whatever narrative or fiction or something. And there's like
Thrones.
potential for stuff. So I think that is ripe for like that is where I enjoy it, and I'm like, give me that discourse, give me that conversation of like criticisms and commentary of like. There's a lot of ranting in this game, like of like body types and imaging and all this various stuff, and I'm like, there's no, I don't know, substance to that.
Yeah.
But then when they talk about like, where does this game saying about our culture? Like, why is this game so successful? Because of X, Y, and Z. Where are we at in our society where that is what people are looking for? And I'm like, there's conversation of that, of like, we should reflect on like why we found this game so enjoyable because we feel like that's where we're at, or I don't know, whatever. And like that could be a negative thing or a positive thing. And I'm like, I think that's good. Like that's criticism I can like sink my teeth into. But that Troy Baker thing, like all of it, I was just like, this whole thing's weird.
It's a very strange
Jang stream.
it's a very strange thing of events that occurred, but I don't know. I think it's fine for
Did you?
creators or developers, someone that created something to speak on both, because I feel like if they can't speak on criticism or they can't speak on like on if someone said something negative and they're not allowed to say anything, then they I feel like they also shouldn't be thanking someone for saying something positive. Like, like you're just promoting like good reviews. What's going on? Like, so I don't know. I think it's fine for Troy to respond. It's just like it's just a weird thing because like
You know what? This is like off topic, kind of. It's kind of strange. Like, Game of Thrones killed off the main character, but there wasn't outrage when that happened. It was a shock.
It was shocked
I
because
remember
it
videos
doesn't-
of just like, man, this is bullshit.
Oh shit.
No, but it
The
wasn't
videos at the time were they were funny. They weren't like taken as
Yeah.
out like bullshit. Fuck the. I don't know.
I
don't
think
remember it that
what
way.
trumped it is the fact that like
Trump.
What? Whoa.
what trumped everything is that
We went political.
what I think what happened is it's something that doesn't occur. Like, you don't normally see like a character that has been developed just get like wiped out on a show. You know, I mean, it's occurred, but it's not something that's
I remember
big. And
in
I feel
Executive Decision, Steven Seagal dies in the first 5 minutes.
But I mean, there's movies that have done it, and like, but they do it quick. Like, there's no like character development for that, so it's not like it's the biggest shock factor is the fact that it's Steven Seagal that's getting taken out or whatever.
I do think when you get into some fandoms, it depends on like the organic just like flow of that fandom. But like, you take Star Wars for instance, the fans feel like there's an agency they have of like these are my characters. How dare you do that to me?
Yeah.
And then those people that are making these things are like, we're just telling stories that we feel is where they would go.
Yeah.
Or like the actors will be like, that's where I think my character's arc is. And like when in this particular case, like Neil Druckmann and Troy Baker were talking about some of the elements of like the stories and the beats of it, and they're like, is this how it would be? Is this does this feel natural for this character to be in this place at this time? And like mentally, like, would they be sympathetic? Would they be understanding? Would they be letting their guard down? Would they be aggressive? All the different things. Like, they in that interview, they were like, we feel like we exhausted every possible thing of like thoroughness. Like, we didn't make it recklessly. So there was other conversation about the game. I don't know if you guys saw it on Twitter, like Corey Balrog. Did you guys see that? Where
No, I missed it.
Jason Schreier. There was another journalist or someone giving a criticism of the game, saying it's akin to Schindler's List.
Oh yeah.
And how it's harrowing, and many people were taking that as insensitive, of like, this is you're talking about something involving like the Holocaust, and that's you're treading dangerous waters, and they're like, the way you're criticizing it is inaccurate. And then somewhere within that, I'm paraphrasing the whole scenario, but like Jason Schreier was pointing out about that criticism being like whatever, and then Neil Druckmann chimed in and he said something, I forget what, but it wasn't like intense. It was just like he was addressing Jason Schreier's comment, and then
Corey.
And then Jason responds, or then Corey jumps in and he's like, it's crazy how like some journalists can bully some of like the people in the creative field. Like, it's like you guys are bullying like you put us into a corner and you paint us in a certain way. And then he was like, excuse me? Like, it became this back and forth between Corey and Jason, and then eventually got deleted, I think. But he was saying like, Neil and I talked afterwards in private and we resolved it. And I'm like, that's why I'm like, why is this stuff happen on Twitter? Because it's all public. People are just like, just fight. And I'm like, that's
gasoline.
That's what this environment is.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can't have a proper discourse. Like, same thing with that and the ninja charity shit. It's like, you're doing it in front of like an arena. Like, this is just like a Coliseum fight.
So
liking it, retweeting it, like.
What's funny is
that
like,
Corey thing was also involving this stuff in criticism.
what's funny with that Corey thing, real quick, I just think it's funny how Corey has one view of Jason, and because Jason and Neil were able to resolve it, Neil probably has a more positive view of Jason. He's like, oh man, this guy, DM me and like, we talked in private and we discussed like, our differences or whatever. And then Corey's like, man, like, you're just like bullying him. And like, so Corey has like a negative view, and then Neil probably respects him just a little more just because like they were able to talk it out.
I forget who, I don't know if it was an apology or thing, but they reached a less hostile understanding.
Corey and Jason?
No, Neil and
okay.
Thing. And yeah, it's just like, what happens in public versus what happens in private.
One thing that you brought up is because you mentioned Star Wars while we were talking about Game of Thrones. What's funny is I realized like when people watched Game of Thrones, because there was that character development and then death of that character, like throughout the whole show, people are like, is this person gonna die? Is this person gonna die? There was always like that tense,
like it could happen.
It could happen to anybody because they did this in the beginning. And with Star Wars, like, we have stormtroopers always missing everybody. So like, whenever I watch Star Wars, I've never had is this character gonna die? Yeah, like even though like there is technically essentially that sense because they're escaping through enemy territory or something like that, you never get that sense of like, is this character gonna die? It's just the whole time I was like, no, they're gonna win. Like, it's just is what it is. And so I'm watching the story just waiting till the end or whatever, and here I am watching it. So it's just crazy how like that, like the way that story is told off the bat, like, yeah, it's just like immediately. You like you
Just
build up a
letting you know,
character.
it's almost July and where's our book? Put me in jail.
Yeah. God damn that guy. It's not happening. That game's not. That book's not coming out.
He's like, thank God for COVID. I'm in jail.
Do you guys want to move on to the next topic?
Sure.
So mine is so we've got like, dude, right around the corner. We literally have next gen consoles about to come out, and with games like so. This is actually this idea came from the fact that like I feel like games are getting longer now, even though not essentially longer, but like there's more content, like more things to do in a game,
More graphics, more.
Do you feel like I feel like there's way more work put into these games. They might not essentially cut corners, but there might be tools.
There's larger
to help
teams.
Yeah, there's larger teams. There might be tools to help them do something quicker, but essentially like there's still like an insane amount of information put in these games.
Yeah.
Do you feel like? I feel like I think we've done this topic before, but like let's revisit it. Do you feel like games should move from a $60 value to either a lower or higher value at this point? You guys think there's like so much content that this is something that should go on? What are you guys' thoughts?
I say no initially.
Okay.
Maybe 70. No DLC. No, or DLC has to be free.
Oh yeah.
That's the one thing that pisses me off about games. They sell a game that's like
Mortal Kombat.
three-fourths done, and then they're like, oh yeah, pay $25-$30 to get the rest. That pisses me off. So I mean, if you think about it, back in the day, Super Nintendo games were like $60. I don't think it should go up any higher. If it is gonna get higher, DLC has to be free, and it has to be only like $70 game.
Yeah. What do you think, Crush?
I think there's been enough experimentation with pricing models that it should just be based on like it shouldn't be there might be a standard, but like those should be just templates or guidelines. And I think every game should take, like when you take a game like Fortnite, I don't think it should be like I wouldn't pay $60 for the initial and then do these battle passes, but I feel like their model works. You can play for free, you're incentivized to get a battle pass, and you can always spend more if you want extra shit. But then if you try to apply that to like Battlefront 2 for EA, that people were not having that. They're like, fuck that, like this is bullshit, because you're making me pay for stuff that A was that way and they were like told it was misleading. B, they were things that would improve how you played and give you an advantage, and that was like, well, now I'm just paying to win, like literally. So that's not fair. And it got so bad, so it got to court cases. Then it got into the whole issue of gambling, and so anyway, so you got all that stuff. Then you got other games where it's like this game, like The Witcher. You take, like, that's a prime example. You got literally like beyond hours upon hours of content and expansions
because there's so much content.
Yeah, it's just overwhelming. But you got a $60 or whatever price tag. Then you got another game that could be like, I don't know, 10 hours. I can't think of one example, but
Knack.
Sure, Knack. And that's also $60. And it's like, what? Like, how you judge what is the value? Like, are you judging it based on the hours you put in, or are you judging it based on what you've gotten out of it, or the work put into it, and all? So many factors. I think that people, like, as a consumer, I'm going to immediately just put those side by side and be like, this is not the same.
Yeah.
And it's a harder sell for one or the other. And like, I feel like there should be room to adjust that. Like Ratchet and Clank, the remake or the remaster or whatever, $40. I feel like that was a good decision, because to me it's like you're literally up-resing. Like, there wasn't new content at it. It was like, here's the same game up-res, like made into a higher fidelity. Okay, cool. I want to revisit it, but I don't want to pay like a full price thing. Fine.
What's funny is, like, I feel like there's a standard for remastered price, and it's $40.
But then now they're changing. Like, you got Final Fantasy VII Remake, where the people are like, isn't this a remaster? And people are like, well, spoilers, yes and no.
Yeah.
And like, they change a bunch of stuff, or they're like, it is a remake, but
it's done from the ground up.
Well, not just that, but it's not the full game. Like, when people like immediately look at this game, they're like, this isn't all of Final Fantasy VII, the original. But what you've done instead is something else, and that justifies it, or not? Like, I don't know. Like, people are going to be like, well, that's not why I paid $60 for this. So
right.
I think it's case by case. That's my best.
so
that's my answer.
I was on the side of like I feel cheated paying $60 for a portion of a game. But then once the game came out, I saw the reviews. Like people were really enjoying it. People were like, "Dude, there's like it steps away from the original and it gets really interesting." So I got interested in it. So I paid $60, and bro, I played a lot of the game, and I already feel like I got $60 worth. Like there's so much content in this game. Like they magnified like content that was just kind of skipped over or glanced over in the original, and so now this becomes like this is like what was like essentially like 30 minutes to an hour worth of content is now like 2 to 3 hours worth of content. So like it's just like they're extending it, and it's not like it doesn't feel like they just stretched it. It feels like good content. It feels like it's good, something good. Yeah, meaning
versus just like content.
Yeah, versus just like content fill essentially. But
like you look at Nintendo and they're like so old school. They're just like, we never drop a sale on our like own games, and they're always going to be this price. Like whatever that price is, it's like.
But I feel like that's like it's something that Apple's done too, and obviously Nintendo's an older company than Apple, but Apple like they're like. Their shit never goes on fucking sale. So like they're seen as like a prestigious company, and Nintendo kind of has that feel to it. Like when you think of Mario, like people automatically know like, oh, that shit's never gonna go on sale. Like just buy it right now. Like it doesn't even matter. You know?
Like I too get one free.
Whereas my friend the other day, he was like, oh, I'm like, are you gonna play Ghost of Tsushima? He's like, I am, but I can wait because literally a few months later it's going to be $20. And I'm like, yeah, because that's the nature of like third party.
See, but that's
trends.
a standard trend.
And
it's not. And you think of Nintendo, that never happens. If you tell him like about a Mario game, he's like, probably never gonna get it because it's never gone on sale.
But what's
or something.
I wonder, and I'm sure the sales teams of big companies or various companies do this, where they're like, we know this is not going to be like as hyped of a game as like Final Fantasy VII or Last of Us. Let's use example Ghost of Tsushima. I'm just going to use it hypothetically of like whatever excitement is there for it is not as high as these other ones where it's like for sure people are pre-ordering or whatever. This game you're like it might do well, it might not, but those people are like, if we still price it at that point, we'll get some people, and we know we'll get a lot more people when it's $20 and on those like PlayStation sales, and based on our trajectories, that will make up for it. Or I don't know. Like I wonder if they do that sort of thing for a lot of these other games where they're like, we keep it here because it'll slope down to here, versus if we start here lower, it'll get like $2, and people are like, what? Why would I buy something for $2? Is this a game? Like you start questioning a game's quality.
Yeah.
If it's too cheap sometimes.
Yeah.
You're like, why is this $1?
The eShop?
Why is it 90%
how
off
often
right
do you
now?
see movies that are in bargain bins? You're like, knack the straight to DVD.
If you go to the eShop, best-selling games $1. Like I don't know, man. Like
Yeah, do you guys feel like that rings true for you guys? Where it's like if you see something too
if
cheap?
something gets too cheap, or if it goes down too fast, like in price, I feel like was this good content? You know, like was this always good content?
I feel like the only place I don't feel that is Steam.
That's true.
Because like the Steam sales are so crazy.
I mean,
that I'm like
it's
anything
also
could go on
'cause,
sale.
like Steam sale involves so many games
Yeah.
that like you kind of glance over like games you've never heard of that are like $10 or whatever, and you're going straight to like looking at Witcher 3.
But then they're like every Star Wars game ever came out $5, or like these humble bundles that like you mentioned, the one Black Lives Matter support.
yeah.
It was like 1,000 things, and you're like, well, name your price.
Yeah.
It's like holy shit.
starting as low as $5.
But like the sales pitch varies, like how you take it in. Who knows? I don't know. I feel like those are examples of like there are going to be some games that thrive on $70 when it goes up. I feel like other games are going to get hindered by it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the $60 price point is fine. The only thing is, I think with time moving forward, like again, like you've mentioned, like games from the beginning, from the get-go, Nintendo games were $60. Like it's kind of like that's always been the price point, and it's not budged from that. But
the StarCraft Battle Chest has always been $25.
yeah.
so like
to this day,
I feel like with honestly like
Diablo 2.
I would have been willing to pay more for Last of Us. I feel like that like content and quality of this game is like it's worth more than $60.
I feel that way with Breath of the Wild.
I feel like
It's more than 60.
I essentially got this game on discount, you know?
But so you bring in Last of Us again. I think some people feel like they got tricked
Yeah.
or gypped because they're like, I went in thinking, you like, so many people want to know so much about some games. They want to know every detail because they want that to justify their price. But some of these games where it's very narrative and like they might take some risks and changes with stories or things that people won't all be on board for. And then, like when you put down $60, that's like a steep price to be like, I got swerved. Like when you get like if that happens in a movie, I feel like $12 is one thing.
Yeah.
Or $20 or whatever, like you get your popcorn and all that stuff.
Well, I only pay $8 max for my movies.
Well,
but-
now we just stream it online at home. But I feel like that price of entry for those like swerves is less, and that factors in. Like if you don't buy a movie or pay for a movie and you just see something, it doesn't bother me as much as when I go to a theater when I like I mentioned with Sucker Punch. So I wonder if that has something to do with like people feeling gypped with like or
I just think like people.
with choices made in a game that you're like, that's not what I paid for.
I feel like that $60 is just, it's ingrained in people's mind. Like that's the price for a standard thing. And when they feel like obviously they got something that, it's insane to me that someone can buy Last of Us and think they got gypped. But if they buy something and they feel like obviously they didn't.
It's Vargas said it.
But when you
Vargas.
buy something and you obviously feel like you didn't get what you thought you were getting, no matter what, you're going to feel like, fuck, I shouldn't have paid $60 or I shouldn't have paid whatever price I paid for this.
Well, I mean, what's kind of crazy is just like inflation of other things that have gone up, and games have kind of stayed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Candy,
it's insane.
Well,
and,
gas.
and with the quality,
they
like,
stayed the same, but then they make it up with like get these skins or get the DLC, like
Yeah.
you're saying, Jay.
And that's-
or they'll rush a game out and it's bugged, and you're like, I didn't pay for this. Like the WWE 2K20 is the most bugged game I've ever seen in existence.
and then they'll backtrack and be like, no, we're still in beta. Like the, what is it, the Amazon?
Oh yeah, the Crucible game.
Oh my
When I
God.
saw that, I was like, can we retract our topic as well?
Oh my gosh, dude. But yeah.
But hey, that Ubisoft Battle Royale. Did you guys get the drop?
I didn't.
It came out today.
I didn't.
Valiant Boys.
It's like Hyper something. Did you guys hear about it?
No,
I heard about it. Yeah.
I haven't.
So Ubisoft was working on like a battle royale game.
Yeah.
And it like streamers are showing it today. And if you watch the sort of like Valorant,
get a
if you
drop.
watch them, you can get a drop.
And you got it?
No.
Oh, you said I got the drop. Damn it.
No. I watched Lyric play it, and I was like,
Nah.
I don't see the appeal, but people are gonna. It's not, and it was top for a bit. But anyway, I was like, when you mentioned Crucible, I was like, oh yeah, Hyper whatever.
No, I didn't actually know about that.
But yeah, I think they find ways to make up for that, like keeping this price the same as it has
Yeah.
always been, despite the inflation with other aspects like Overwatch. You can loot boxes. And all
What's
these
funny too is like I know that there is a price point where like people won't be as mad for buying it. Like if you buy a DVD and you know that the full price of it is $5, you'll be disappointed if you buy it and you're like, man, this movie sucks. But if you go to the bargain bin, and there's couples that'll be like, yeah, let's just randomly pick a movie out. And they'll buy it for $5, and even though it might be a shitty movie, they won't feel like they got gypped. They're like, we're gambling, you know, and we just happen to get this movie. So
movie tickets like $10. So that's fine. Shit.
save myself 20 bucks.
I mean, you
August.
could have paid $20+ to watch Inception in IMAX, or you could have watched it in Fortnite.
For free. You just gotta download
Kids
it.
dancing.
You
in
didn't
front
talk
of
about that, by the way.
you. Oh yeah, fucking. What an experience. God.
It's the future, man. Can't wait to watch Tenet.
Anyway, but yeah, I think a lot of that the psychological aspects of it play a factor.
Yeah.
Of like how are you perceiving this? What are you going
But
perspective?
I don't know. I mean, thinking about like the way the game industry is going, and right now, like it's just overall, I feel like it's a shitty environment right now for everybody. You know, there's like all these accusations
It's a
going
shitty
around and
environment.
everything.
Across
There's,
the board.
yeah. In the world right now, it's just a shitty environment. But I feel like the game industry deserves more. Like these are insane storytelling tactics that are being told. You know, like there's.
Some people are on board for that. Some people want their Call of Duty annual same
And that's
game.
fine. But the thing is, like, that game, I feel like, if anything, should stay between $50 to $60, or like $39.99 to $59.99 because it's literally just copy paste content to redo it, and then occasionally like every third version of it will be like, hey, now you can wall run or something like that. But like, honestly,
Hey, Vargas said it.
He's a critic.
The other
He's a
Dennis
game
said
critic.
Not the last one.
dude, when like, so my favorite game out of the Call of Duty series was Modern Warfare, the original one, and then they're like, here's Modern Warfare 2, here's 3, here's Call of Duty. And then it
Here's a
feels
remaster.
Like
Here's the
and I was
remaster
like,
part 2.
Holy shit, bro! Like
Black Ops 1.
And the
Black
thing
Ops
is, like,
2.
they have a huge like thing. Like, there's gamers that like just that's all they do is they play Call of Duty games, you know. But I don't know. That's just not my thing anymore. When it first came out, I was like, yeah, this is sick. But like now, it just feels like it's the NBA of shooter games. You know, like it's just
Well, okay. I'm gonna throw an idea out there. You're saying that
You're wrong.
like like to you, $60 a year for that kind of game is not
Not worth it.
appealing or
Yeah.
worth it. But you look at and you're like, because it's similar iterative. But if you look at, and this is again, I'm thinking of like the psychology of what they're doing. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just throwing an idea out there. You look at games like Fortnite and Apex Legends, where every few months they're changing the few aspects of the game, and they're not requiring you, but they're incentivizing you to pay for those battle passes, which are a little bit cheaper. But I mean, you could always pay more. The minimum amount is 30 or whatever, but you could always pay like
Yeah.
who knows how much. That has become like you in your experience, you've done that with Fortnite a few times, even with the battle passes.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's interesting. Of like, they're doing minor changes, Call of Duty's minor changes, but you're more okay with the Fortnite ones because of various factors. I don't know.
So with Fortnite, I actually didn't buy stuff personally for myself. I've always bought it on my sister's account. It was for her. Like, I mean, I don't know. I want her to stay entertained because there's times where she's just in a room not doing anything. And
Sure.
And I feel like if I buy her like a new suit, she'll be
Okay,
more
then I'll use another
inclined.
example. I'll say World of Warcraft.
Okay,
They update, they do expansions.
and I pay $15 every month.
Okay,
for that.
But it's monthly, not. So if you look at annual versus like a
Yeah,
Call of Duty,
I've paid for that game more than any other game probably ever in my life.
but you're okay with it because of like various reasons. Again,
Yeah.
I think like that's interesting. Of like, it's okay in one context to have those recurring iterative things, and in another context, you're like, it doesn't like. Because of numerous things,
mean,
it's not important to me.
For me, obviously, it's like the way I see content. And with World of Warcraft, funny enough, like a lot of it is repeat content, but like I'm going through it to get to newer content. Like I'll create a new character, I'll go through all this content I've already gone
Right,
for
again,
10 expansions,
yeah.
and then I finally get to the newer content or whatever with a new character. Because sometimes with more recent content, they've had incentives to create new characters. Or like,
Sure.
hey, if you do this, and if you don't pay to get to the max level, if you just do it manually, you'll get like this cool whole new look to your character. And so like, fuck it, you
Yeah.
know, here I am rushing through this content. But then, yeah, with Call of Duty, like, I mean, I think
It's interesting. Like, they have their hook.
it didn't
which
happen
gets
in
a
the
different-
beginning for me. Like
Yeah.
in the beginning, like I bought Call of Duty, I bought Modern Warfare, I bought Modern Warfare 2, I bought Modern Warfare 3, and then eventually it was just like, after the 6th or 7th time, I'm like, bro, this is the same thing. I'm tired of this. Like now at this point.
Sure.
But with I don't know, with World of Warcraft, it eventually happened to me. Like
Yeah, it just had a longer shelf
it
life.
just
And
had a longer
I'm just
shelf life,
saying,
yeah.
like, that, like, for everyone, the mileage varies.
Yeah.
And there's just so many different versions of this that every one of these companies are like, how can we retain? And the fact that they're all trying different things makes me feel like there's many different ways of getting that, and the $70 isn't like or the $60 isn't the only way.
Yeah.
That's all. It's interesting. So.
I don't know, but like I love what he said, where it was like if you change the price on your content to be higher, it should already include like DLC, or you shouldn't be doing like that stuff where it's like, hey, here's microtransactions. You're already charging like $70-$80 for a game.
Well,
Why do you, like?
so, let me ask you this: if you paid $70 for Breath of the Wild, you'd be okay?
Yes. I would have paid 100 for that.
Okay. So then, if after your experience with the base game of Breath of the Wild, then they told you there was additional content coming, but they're going to charge you, would you still be okay?
Yes.
I wouldn't. I'd feel like I get gypped.
Well, not $100, but like if it was $60.
No, not
like,
another $100. I'm just saying, like, if they wanted another $20 or whatever those expansions
they did
ended up
that
bringing-
and
yeah,
bought it.
but I'm just saying, like, that was a time where you were okay with it because you felt like the value you got
Yeah.
for that was already
And also
succeeded.
like that DLC. Well, I never played it, but they had the motorcycle. I'm like, fuck, that's worth $20.
What's funny too is like, I mean, I'm taking it personal. Like, if someone was like, if
it's
Breath of the
personal.
Wild, if Breath of the Wild was $70, like they have $10 more than the standard, and then later on they're like, hey, we're doing DLC or whatever, I wouldn't be okay with it. But what's funny is like it entices new people. They're like, oh, there's newer content, and I'd get more bang for my buck. You know, like it's like a deal going on essentially because they'll bundle it. They'll probably be like, if you buy the original game with the expansion, it's also $60 or something like that
But-
because the game is older now.
The reason I'm saying it's interesting is
$70.
because it was a game that you already felt was worth an initial larger sum,
Mm-hmm.
and then they were giving. You were like, I want more after that, and I'm willing to pay for more if that's what it'll take to get that more stuff.
Right.
So if like they were like Bloodborne, I fucking love it. I would have paid like $100 for it, and then they're like, oh, after everything we already gave you, we're gonna give you more stuff. I think there's a large like if they can get that sort of reaction from a lot more people, then they're like, okay, we can.
Yeah.
I don't know. They have idea they could do stuff, and so.
I think what it is a lot of DLC's not that good. There's very few games where they do DLC right, and I feel like
There's
a lot of
Iceborne,
companies-
worth it.
Oh yeah.
But like for every Iceborne and Breath of the Wild, you got like 5 Call of Duty.
Like I
Or
love
whatever.
the Arkham games, but I think their DLCs kind of suck.
Yeah.
It's like one story.
It's like, oh, you got Robin, and you can do this.
Now you can play the whole game with Robin.
Catwoman. Oh,
Well, some people it's just like characters. Like
Yeah,
the pitch is a character, and it's like you can't think like I'll give you like if you look at a fighting game, you're getting characters, but to a fighting game player, that's a big deal. But to like a person that plays like
I'm
Casually.
bothered with fighting games. The way they fucking.
It's expensive.
That's why I like to wait for the complete
Yeah,
edition.
yeah.
Like
It's
fucking Mortal
expensive.
Evil. Fucking.
Dude,
Rip Evil.
the most I ever got gypped was Street Fighter V.
Yes.
I bought
Yes.
I bought Street Fighter V with like the first 2 expansions or like the DLC characters, and I stopped playing it before the first one even came out. I haven't even touched the damn game, and I have 2 sets of characters that I haven't even witnessed in that game, and I paid like it was like $120 or something like that for me. It was oh my god. I
bought
felt
Street
so
Fighter
gypped.
5 so many times, and I think this is the final version. I hope. Oh, fucking the
Yeah.
Monster Hunter costumes are there, so you didn't even have to do all that stupid shit.
Oh, in the DLC? Wow. I only got one. I got the one for
Dude.
Miku.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of those costumes are sick.
The Zenogra. Yeah. There's the
I bought a
Raphalos
few of
one,
those
which I couldn't get that.
costumes. I'm like, I have barely touched this. Yeah. Sometimes
Yeah.
you're like, why did I do that?
And what's
Thank you,
funny is
Eva.
like that isn't
Mortal
like
Kombat 11.
that isn't as complained, but I think it's because the
Rip.
people that actually play it, they're like a dedicated audience, and usually that dedicated audience is playing competitively.
Sure.
And so they're like, even though I'm paying $10 for a DLC character, I might make my money back in this in this canceled Evo. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so based on what you're saying with like a potential price going up, do you see yourself being okay with that? Like with what they've announced for like the PS5, we've already talked about the lineup of some of the games they've announced. If almost all, if not all of those games were that you were interested in were $70, would you be okay with it?
There's certain ones I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
There's certain ones, but the problem is like that's it gets scary. Like, because if I buy a game thinking it's gonna be the content that I see in Breath of the Wild or in Last of Us, but then I get the content that I see in Knack 2 for $70, and they only paid, the only reason they had the Knack 2 one. And this is like, I feel like this is also criticism towards the developer in a bad way, because I don't know the amount that they put towards that game, even though it's a platformer and it doesn't feel like it's as much content as
Sure.
what an open world is. I'd be like, damn it, I paid $70 and I just got like this platformer instead of this open world game, the content that I feel like would be more worth it.
I feel like it's going to be hard, or it may or may not be hard, based on like under the hood type of benefits. Like load times, like various like spec stuff like that, like how quickly the game loads, how quickly you can like go through between the various things, the sound quality, the video quality. Like
But that's more hardware than software, right?
it's both. I mean, they have to like
Yeah,
develop to
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And so, like when I think of like if I were to buy the Matrix on VHS versus on Blu-ray, there's going to be a cost difference. Is like how much it's not going to be $60 for both.
But
or-
if you buy the Blu-ray, you also get the DVD version. Just saying.
And digital copy.
Digital copy. You get 3 versions, man.
so, yeah, okay.
I was just messing with you.
But I mean,
got
like when you think of a VHS, like man, I got to rewind this fucker,
Yeah.
and like all the things that are like innately tied to that.
This
immediate-
VHS 2. Insert tape 2.
Yeah, exactly.
that was rare for me. It happened like once.
We always ended up renting movies that weren't rewound, so it's just like fuck.
Be kind. Please rewind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, any final thoughts?
I'm
Save your
okay.
money.
I don't know. Like with if
It makes you care about reviews more, bringing us back to the first topic.
if this standard price does end up changing to fluctuate between $60 and going lower or higher depending on the game, I feel like pre-orders would become less and less. I think people are going to start waiting for reviews. Like if a game was $80, I don't think people are just going to be like flocking towards this game, even though it has
Right.
a good hype or
I think
whatever.
another thing I would want is more demos or betas if those things happen, because I want to
yeah,
know.
bring back the fucking classic, discs with
With
like
a
10
magazine?
demos and
Shit. I still have a book full
Where's
of them.
my PlayStation magazine?
But I mean, like,
replay a
you see Nintendo games like Dragon Quest, you play the first few hours, and whatever progress you make transfers over
Yeah.
if you choose to buy the game. I think more of these, like, the higher price game goes, the more I want to know about the aspects of it. Regardless of whether it's the gameplay or the narrative.
I think it's so funny, dude. I grew up in a when I was young, like I would get these magazines with these demo discs that would have like a demo of either one big game or like a couple different games, and I would put it in, and I would save some of them. Like my favorite ones, I would save.
Yep. I still have mine.
And here I am, like, dude, like Final Fantasy VII, never downloaded the demo. Like, there's all these demos that come out. I don't like. I just feel like,
They're not as often, though, I will say.
yeah.
Like it was rare. Like Final Fantasy VII did it, but like if you think of like, there was no Last of Us demo. There was no like.
yeah. There aren't as many demos, but like when there are demos, I still don't.
Yeah.
I just don't play them. Like,
We haven't even talked about another model that we've brought up before. Is the service game, like Game Pass. Like right now, you can play a bunch of $60 price games on
For
like $4 or $5 a month,
or $5 a month.
yeah, or
Yeah.
$10 a month.
one of the two.
So what if? Do you think like that could be a model? Like if PlayStation, like PlayStation's already kind of like all encompassing, for instance, like it's so widely spread, everyone knows about it. Like it's the top console of this current generation in terms of sales. If many of those games that are already out, like were put into this like service library, like Bloodborne is now playable on PS5, all of their greatest hits, and whatever other new games, like indie games, like a Netflix service, then they could get away with this service type of payment. But then you're not owning it, and that becomes a whole conversation which we've had. But I think that's also something to consider of like, if this keeps price going up, will they put some of that into like the ones that don't do well?
Yeah.
You could be captured again and be brought back through a service type of payment. You're like, I wouldn't pay $70, but I'd pay $5 for this and get a bunch of other games.
What's funny for that, like, it's like my initial view on like specifically PlayStation. It's their PlayStation Now is what it's called. You don't download the game, like you stream it essentially online. And my initial like view of that was people were having trouble with like hiccups. Like it was
Right.
like it would take a while for it to load because like your just internet isn't that great. And so I literally just like I turned off that switch to like ever look into PlayStation Now. I've never looked back. I've never like I always see like PlayStation will be like, hey, by the way, if you're interested in this game, you can play it on PlayStation Now.
Right,
And just
but-
like sign up.
But if you take like Xbox, like you can download those games.
Yeah.
And I have like Gears Tactics that I want to play. I might play soon. But I don't think I'd pay $60 for it. But
Yeah.
because I have it in Game Pass, I'm like, all right, I'll
Let's
get
try it
into
out.
this.
Yeah.
Or Outer Wilds, not Outer Worlds, the indie one.
Yeah.
So there, just another thought.
Well, that's my topic.
Okay, good topic. My topic was a survey. There was a thing I saw on was it Quantic
Foundry.
and it was a gamer motivation profile.
Your
and so
gamer motivation
you
profile.
answer like over 20 plus questions, I think, of like different things. No, I
I'm just showing on mine because I think we got the same one.
no.
It's
a little different.
Not even
Yeah.
close. Never mind.
So I wanted to. We all took the survey, and I wanted to go over some of the results. There's primary motivations, and then there's secondary motivations, and we can talk a little bit about some of them.
so
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. So after answering a bunch of questions, my motivation at the top, it says like a few verbs as like the primary things. It says I'm action oriented, driven, social, deeply immersed, and expressive. Those are my like primary motivators, and I kind of feel like that's accurate based on some of the games. Like I really like games that like I can dive into it and get into the thick of it. The immersiveness, I was like, I like games where it's like it's a fully realized world. Like I think of Nier Automata, Last of Us, so games where there's like lore that you can like look into later, like Destiny. And then some of the questions I was answering for like the expressiveness, I was like, it was asking like how much does customization matter to you, and like how much time do you put into it? And I'm like, I sit like the amount of time I sit there, I'm like, okay, how do I want my character to look? What is my name of my character? What, like all this shit. I'm like, I gotta make sure I spend a good amount of time.
Clarence.
Yeah.
5 hours
Clarence
later.
Wonder. So those are some of my main things. We can get into secondary later, but I wanted to go around. What are you guys' main things?
So mine is action oriented, driven, and practical.
Oh.
That's it.
Okay.
So
What did you think do you feel like some of those questions that you answered like really drove that?
Yeah, I was trying to be. So like my answers would have been different if I was thinking about the way I've been before, like growing up and stuff like that. But like I'm trying to like I was trying to answer them like the way I feel like I am now, like
Yeah.
because I feel like I'm changing. Like I don't have an urge to immediately jump into a game that like has come out anymore.
Okay.
Before where it's like, dude, I fucking pre-order and like
Play it, finish
I'll
it.
get mad at fucking GameStop for not shipping it the same day and I get it the next day.
I'll
and-
never forget. I think Division 1.
Yeah.
Me and Andrew were playing, and then you were already like level 22, and we were like trying to catch up with you because we
Yeah,
grouped up,
see, that's
and
like-
all the enemies were scaled to you, and we're like, all right, we'll catch up to you, and you're like, I've already cleared this section out.
I didn't
was
even
like,
realize that. I knew you guys were
I was like, the game's been out 8 hours, dude. How the fuck?
I knew you guys were like, obviously I was ahead of you, but I didn't realize that like you guys playing with me was not going good for you because
The scaling, yeah. I didn't realize that at first either, but it was just funny. I was like, how did you get there so fast? So that was always funny.
that was me playing, till fucking 1 a.m.
Wild Vargas.
Yeah, that was Wild Vargas. But yeah, so I'll say my main one. So it says, did you say your first one or? You
What?
just
No, I
explained?
just did that first part, and I was talking about some of the answers that I thought got there.
So yeah, I mean, like the top two for me is action and achievement.
Yeah.
And achievement's 97%.
Ooh.
So I'm very achievement, which is I'm trying to get away from that because like normally I'd be like I platinumed in like less than a day, or in one run I platinumed the dinosaur robot Horizon.
Right. Oh yeah.
Dude, I was and that's usually when I play a game I'd be like I'm gonna try to do as much as I can to platinum this game in one run so that I don't have to do more than one run. And usually most games are designed for you to have to do it more than once.
Sure.
So when I was able to do it with like Horizon, I was like, fuck yeah.
Do it with The Last of Us Part
Fuck
2.
yeah.
It's impossible. It's more than one.
So there's a game that I literally just need one more thing to do. I've done everything in one run. It's Infamous. I've done everything in one run. The only thing you have to do is you also have to be evil. So I did everything good. I was like, this is gonna be tough because I have to watch out what I'm doing, and I literally just have to play the game over again and just murder everything I possibly can. Haven't touched the game since then. That's because I just can't do a second run. I usually don't replay things.
Yeah. Jane, what about you?
action-oriented, proficient, driven, and inquisitive. I'm actually the opposite when it comes to social and character creation.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like bald. Okay, good.
Bald
1
is
second.
beautiful.
Bald, good. I think I spent more time customizing my cat in Monster Hunter. Sheldon, black, gray. Okay, cool.
Trying to
Sheldon.
copy child.
But yeah, action is high up and mastery is second. The only gripe I have about this is there's no emphasis on puzzle games. Like
There was like one or two questions. It was like how much time do you put into thinking of a strategy?
Right.
And there was like one other one.
Right. I know one of my stronger points is like tactical, and they were talking about tactical games, but I was like, I don't know, I could argue Last of Us is a tactical game. Stealth games, like just enemy positions, how you're going to tackle enemies, which enemies to take out. I feel like that's tactical. I don't know. When I play Last of Us, I play it very tactically.
They're just
Like-
referring to turn-based games. I'm just kidding.
Fire Emblem.
Yeah, I think the social aspect. So like when I was going through the earlier questions, I was starting to reflect. It was like, on average, how many games do you play? I'm like 7, and then it was like, pick all the consoles. I picked all of them. And then it's like telling me like, what do you play on tablet? And I listed like 3 easily. I was like, fuck, do I play? Like, what do I like? I play too many different things. And then like I was trying to like when you guys were writing down like the games you played, like 3 games, and it asked you like for 3 more. That was a hard choice for me because I was like, I feel like this is gonna dictate some of this. And I was trying to think of both recent, but also I was thinking of like things with lots of hours.
But like my strongest trait was mastery, and they were talking about, yeah, you like to play Dark Souls. I was like, yep, that's me. Yep, challenges like over and over. That question, I was like, that's me.
Ludwig? Yeah, I could see that 100%.
Ludwig.
Okay, so if you click the secondary motivation, it kind of breaks down each one of those two. So like action gets broken down into excitement and destruction.
Yeah. No,
Well, for me
you're
it did.
You're right. Yeah.
Is it the same for you guys? Like,
Yeah. I got destruction and excitement.
So did you have a predominant one for each one? Like,
Excitement.
okay, I had
within-
destruction.
Yeah. So I have 72% destruction and 86% excitement.
Completion, obviously.
Overpower.
Completion.
Yeah. I think the biggest, like most of them are like a few percentages off from each other when you look at them. The biggest ones were for creativity. I was 90% leaning towards design, but only 20% towards discovery. And I feel like it's like applying the creativity versus exploring the like
Yeah.
I enjoy games where I'm like, okay, how can I like make use of apply these different like mechanics in different ways and stuff versus like me just wandering around. Like I don't do that too often. Like when a game's too open world, I'm like I'm going to explore some of this but not like everything. Unless there's like some sort of completion tied to it, and that's why I feel like my completion was high.
Yeah.
But then when I looked at mastery, that was my second biggest change in between. Challenge wasn't too high because like I feel like I'm at a point right now where I'm like I want to play games to relax and not to. I feel stressed when I play. Like if I were to play Last of Us on a harder difficulty,
Yeah.
I'd just be like I'm stressing and I want to enjoy this.
And probably wouldn't finish the game.
Probably. But then I thought like I do enjoy strategizing, like what you were saying, tactical. Like I love. Like right now with Destiny, I'm strategizing what mods I want to have on my character, how I'm going to tackle this room. Like there are aspects where it's like a challenge, but I put more emphasis on the tactics versus the actual like application of it because I'm like, okay, this is the prep work I need to do to make the challenge less challenging.
And you still can't make that jump on the platform. Got it.
So it was actually, do you remember Outbreak Prime?
Oh, yeah.
They brought it back in the current Destiny, but you have to do a level in 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And you have to do it on the heroic mode. And the main difference with that one is a few things, but the main one is there's this outdoor ledge jumping, and it's literally like a tiny vent that's like this far out.
Yeah.
And you have to hop to the next one, and you have to like angle yourself right. I get so nervous when I'm doing that part of it. It can make or break my run.
Yeah.
And like there are times where it's like 3 of us just keep dying. And I'm like, I can't right now. I can't right now. I can do everything else with this fucking encounter in thing flawlessly because I've strategized this. But this is me like this is actual application. That's where I feel like Jane. I'm curious what yours is because I feel like yours is the in the moment like
The mastery part?
yeah,
Mine's-
when it's broken down like what is
It's like pretty even. Challenge and strategy is like
50%.
95 to 94.
Holy
okay, I thought
shit.
so. Because like when I see it's like the execution is just like when you get it right, it's like it's got to be
Ludwig?
flawless. Who's that boss after it? The one on the beach with
Oh,
the
cause?
Oh my god, that one was like you had to be
Shrimp. Shrimp on the bobby.
when he got stuck on the tree.
Ooh, pee time. Pee.
That was funny.
Zoomies in my
You
toomies.
still lost that one, huh?
Yeah.
He comes
Fuck,
back.
I lost
immediately and
many fucking times. That was a lucky ass.
So with mine, it's
Yeah.
funny. Like, so I'm looking at the creativity component one, which is only like a total of 24% max on my thing. But within that category, I have discovery at 56% and design at 11%. And I read the descriptions of what they think. So discovery is people ask what if, and I'm the type of person that like when I reach like a fork in the road, I'll go both ways. I'll go one way, and I'll be like, I'll go far in and be like, wait, no, this feels like it might go all the way through. So then I'll run back and go the other way and be like, yep, this is a dead end with a chest here, perfect. And I go, so I'm like that. What if, one
That
has
happened to me a lot in The Last of Us. It's like if I go through this, I think it's gonna go to the next.
You're like,
Yeah.
it's literally a moment where you're like, this is clearly a section I have to rush through. You're like, hold on a second.
yeah, exactly. So you like look at everything. And
I
then-
love the way The Last of Us is too, because like a lot of times you don't get to turn immediately.
Yeah,
You're
so
just
you
like,
run backwards, grab that back again.
I gotta loot. Hold up, I gotta loot.
But and then it says design. In design are gamers who scored high on this components actively expressed or individually in games where they find themselves in. So the games like Mass Effect, where you put time and effort into your character creation. I literally like. With Mass Effect, this is the funniest thing because like with that one, I was like Shepard. The way he looks right there, perfect. And like I just chose that.
what about Animal Crossing? How has that been for you guys for the character stuff?
I mean, like
Pretty quick.
I tried like the hardest to make it look like as close to me as I could, but I didn't like.
Well, it doesn't have to be like you, but like just whatever you want to
Yeah,
make it
yeah,
like.
but I didn't like spend crazy amount of time. I wasn't like looking at every nose and be like, this one looks closer to mine. This one. I was just like, that one looks like mine. That one looks like mine. Perfect.
Okay. What about like the clothing or the island song?
See, but that
or
I feel like that falls under like
It's
essentially achievement, where I don't see it. I don't see it as customization for me to like look the way I look. I look at it as like I'm trying to grab everything I possibly can that exists in this game and own one of everything.
You're owning it, but I'm saying what you're wearing. Or like that's what I'm talking about. Like
Yeah.
what you put on and what you have your flag as
But I
and
didn't
what
focus on that. Like,
So, okay, so that's just you didn't-
I
it wasn't-
never. The only reason I
Okay.
changed my flag is because they told me to do it.
Okay.
And I chose a set one on there. When I choose my
So you
clothes.
didn't. It was the same effort you put into the the beginning.
Yeah,
character.
yeah. It's
Okay.
just like a super quick decision. It's not. I don't put too much thought into it. When I buy, like, if I buy new clothes, I usually be like, yeah, I'll switch over to the new
Okay.
set of clothes I bought, and so
Okay.
boom. And then the reason why, like, in the last 3 podcasts we did with like Animal Crossing, I've had the same clothes on because I haven't
You haven't
went to
played.
go buy anything. Yeah, I haven't played it, so I haven't switched clothes. So yeah, I mean, for me, this is very accurate. Like, I don't focus on stuff like that. I do focus on like, and I what's funny is I'm very challenging, or I challenge myself. So like with the mastery, I have challenge at 60%.
Okay.
So it is higher, and then strategy, like I thought would be lower. I'm at 33% for that one. So I don't generally strategize. Like I do, like with Destiny is one where like when those type of games, I'll strategize on those. I'll try to find like if I know I'm doing platform, or we're gonna do like a we're gonna do that
Shattered Throne, like a dungeon.
well, yeah, like that. Like if it's just me and you,
Yeah.
I'll probably be like, okay, I know that it's gonna be like platform stuff. I'll
Right.
focus on mobility on my clothes. So I usually
It's
have
sort of like Monster Hunter. I think
I have like
there's a lot of
4 or 5 like set like pieces of armor in each slot, and one of them, like, each one has like, this one has more mobility than the other ones. This one has more resilience. So if I'm doing PvP, I'll switch over to everything that has resilience.
Right.
If I'm doing like the dungeon, I'll switch over to have mobility so I can make sure I get those jumps in there or whatever.
I feel
So-
like you, with the three of us, I felt were very similar in the that strategizing with Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Where we're like, all right, what set is are you in? Like quick draw, quick sheath, like
But
knockout.
I'm also
whatever?
very, very plain in a sense of like I'm not. I don't mix and match too crazy. I've done it before, but it's because I'm following a path that someone's already done for me. Like I look online and they're like, "Hey, do this with these stuff, so you can get this feature." Usually, I'll just be
That
like,
could be
make
in
a whole
Discovery,
Yeah.
where it's like the people that make the sets versus the people that just like, I'm interested in this, but only to the point where it's like, is there a
Yeah.
has someone made a set and can I follow it?
set. But yeah, overall, like again, I got
Like in-
action.
Oh, good.
And like right off the bat, it says gamers with action scores are aggressive and like to jump into the fray of it, and that's usually me. Like, I don't try to focus on this stuff. I just like I want to find the monster in Monster Hunter to start fighting it. You
Yeah.
know, like I want to get in there, like and stuff like that. So
Right. Oh, I was gonna say, Jang, do you feel the template and the mix set and stuff with Bloodborne? Were you making your own, or were you following?
I was following
A lot of
It's
you-
hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
Because like those guys calculated everything.
Yeah.
Like I don't calculate damage.
So you tell
But
you
you
like,
were-
wear a certain hat. And
You
then
were
wear
paying
the-
attention to that, though,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's no way I could calculate. Like I don't test. They're testing what damage
Yeah,
calculations.
they'll like where something hits someone, it's
Yeah,
like one hit kill, and then where
yeah,
something
I
and like
can't.
that's not a one hit kill. That's not good enough.
With
Okay.
Monster Hunter, I would kind of like follow a template and maybe switch something out, but
Okay.
that's the farthest.
Yeah, same thing.
Farthest I've
Yeah,
done.
same. Cool. Yeah, I thought it was a really interesting test. Like some of the questions, I was sort of like, where is this going to lead to? Like I was answering some of them, and I was like, huh. Like I felt most of them were like, I'm somewhat interested, but I'm not. Like,
Yeah, a lot of it for me was like right in the middle. I'm like I
there's-
do take interest in that, but I don't focus on
There's
it.
one very important question. Like, do you work in the game industry? Yes. No, I didn't put yes.
Lonnie Dog, dude, what are you talking about, bro?
yeah.
But-
When's Last of Us 3 coming out?
70% of the way.
Comment section.
60% of the way.
Oh my god.
But it made me kind of more aware of what aspects of games I'm in tune with and I like, and it like right now when I'm looking at like backlog and like what do I want to play next, I'm thinking about that a little bit. I'm like, I kind of have an itch for one of these. I feel like I've been scratching these itches and I want to like get into this or something.
Here's
Yeah.
another question. You meet your 10-year younger self version, different taste in games?
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
I would play Smash every day.
I would play every
about the
game.
underage
and now I
No,
can.
I was the no. Oh no. Yeah, read into that. No, yeah, I would play like it was literally the games that I could get the most bang for my buck: Pokemon, Smash, and maybe one or two other game.
Which is funny, like Smash is like a fighter game, but like it was
it?
so enjoyable that you would play so much of it. And then
mean-
they had like other
Well, it's like my
content.
brother and I would just take turns doing the time trials.
Yeah.
Like I want to try and like we've done these 8 characters. We haven't been able to do this. We just pass the control back and forth. And then other times we'd be like, all right, let's play 99 lives.
I feel like my taste in games have changed in 5 years. Like,
Yeah.
Monster Hunter, like nah, Dark Souls. I'd rather play Dark Souls. Like
Well, I feel like Monster Hunter was like your gateway. Do you feel like that way, or do you feel like
Yeah,
the very
I
start?
guess. I
Would you
guess.
say that what you like about them is like?
But I mean, I've played Dark Souls before Monster Hunter, I think.
It's crazy because
Oh.
those two games, like if you look at like overall games, those two are very, very close to each other. Like you're dodging, you're weaving, you're
Timing.
you're
It's-
putting on armor. Like
It's almost the same. They're like the okay. So Monster Hunter is like a boss fight,
Yeah.
but it's long.
Yeah.
Dark Souls and Bloodborne is a boss fight, but it's fucking quick. It's fucking.
But
quick.
like overall, like I mean, if you compare, I mean, obviously, if you like go down to it, like they're completely different games, but they're very close.
share-
in, like
they share
you're-
some through
yeah, you're
lines.
dodging, you're rolling, you're like there's all these things, and so you went from that to that, and it's just a strange thing. Like it's so crazy how like those small nuances. Like, dude, yeah, when I was younger,
Used to
like
be a Street Fighter player. Now retired.
Yeah,
was
they
like-
retired again.
like-
thank you, Evo.
like 10 plus years ago, we were
Didn't even play.
we were playing Monster Hunter at Sonic's, drive through. Like fucking the employees would come up and be like, "Hey, we're leaving," and you guys are like, "I'm alright, oh, don't worry about us, dude." And we're just like kick it at one of the the tables there.
I would do that at Denny's. We'd be like, all right, let's go to Denny's. It's one,
And
and then we'd all bust out our DSs.
Yeah.
And then we play Slay the Spire. The taste in games has
Shit.
changed, dude.
Taste the game has changed. I'll give you an example. We buy Monster Hunter Generations, and then with the rest of the weekend
Play
we're
one
playing the
play, right?
Messenger.
play one plane ride.
Oh my god, that was so funny, dude. We bought it on the plane. We played what? Like we didn't even. I didn't.
We got through the first HR.
Oh my god.
We're like, what? Look up the quests.
and
And then we finished it. We're like,
And then once we get like we land and we get there, they're like, "Oh, monsters just came out," and we like
The messenger, and
the
then
messengers get out, and we all got it.
Damn.
in the hotel room.
That's a good time.
You finished it that
During?
weekend?
100%. Man.
Well, over
I
the
mean,
weekend.
later
So
on.
there's a glitch in that game. So I didn't get it. This one item, and it glitched out on me.
Sucks, bruh.
I want to go. I
Replay
miss- I mean, that was a good trip.
Yeah, PAX, McStabbies.
That was the craziest thing to me.
Hey, did you find it yet in Last of
Craziest
Us?
thing.
Oh
No.
yeah, McStabbies is everywhere, dude. You are McStabbies, dude. Fuck, dude.
That was the craziest thing to me, dude. Like, you read the review, we were like, there's no way. We walked through and immediately just the whole environment changed. We're like, well, I guess
Last
we.
of Us Part 2. Right?
Next block.
That was so. It's how fast that shit changed to. That was
Are
great.
you guys going to all the conventions next year?
No.
Or I would try to go to as
I'm
much.
I don't think so.
I want to go to. Okay, the ones I missed the most, if I were to think about them right now, I already got my ticket for WonderCon.
Comic Con.
Sorry, Comic Con. I WonderCon for sure.
Long Beach Comic Con.
No, that's not. I don't want to do that. No. But one of my friends just moved out of the state, and I was like, oh, I went with her and her boyfriend to BlizzCon, and that was a really fun experience for me. It was my first BlizzCon, and I was like, I would go again just to like hang out with them if they're
Yeah.
coming, if they're gonna travel. And they're like, hell yeah! I was like, cool. If that happens, I would look forward to that. But not Anime Expo. Pretty much LA ones. I'm like already like no thank you. But Comic Con, WonderCon for sure. Oh, what about what's the one that the one you had you were streaming at?
Oh,
Which
no, the fashion, the outerwear.
No, not that
Designer
one.
Con?
No,
You're
no.
going to Designer Con. You son of a bitch.
No, the one that you streamed at, where you were like playing there, like they gave you a table to play at. That I went with you.
Oh, DreamHack.
DreamHack. Would
I'd
you
go.
go?
Hell yeah. I'd go again.
You were like,
Walked out of your
I was like, where did he get a table to play at? What are
Yeah.
you talking about?
Tabletop.
Fucking went there.
I'd go to TwitchCon. I've never been. I
I'm
would
gonna
go to that.
TwitchCon, I think.
TwitchCon was pretty chill, but I think it's because it's a brand
Free
new
alcohol?
thing for me.
I'd go to EA Play. I said I was done with
Damn,
Bro,
I'd go to EA
If
Play.
an event has free alcohol, it's like
BE3.
like
That was the
level,
best one.
The level
Yeah,
of
me too.
enjoyment like goes from like like a 3 to a 4 to like a fucking 7 to 8, dude. It's insane. It's a huge jump, bro.
Free
It's a
alcohol,
huge jump.
air conditioning. I'm
Dude,
Man, that's a 10, bro. That's
Free
a
food,
10.
free alcohol, I'm in.
Okay, wait. If I'm putting them in order of ones I'm looking forward to the most.
Hey, Indiecade was really.
Oh, I'm
pretty
going
good.
Indiecade
for
was
sure,
good.
for
Indiecade
sure.
was good.
It was.
Dude,
I think my
nighttime-
experience was because I had a whole ordeal getting there.
Yeah.
And
If we
everything-
all go, I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
enjoyable.
I would have
And then
more
we're
fun.
able to do
We
like
should-
interviews a lot better.
Review or try to do all the games if we go again.
100%. The ones I'm looking forward to the most, if all of them are open next year, WonderCon,
BlizzCon.
San Diego Comic Con.
I'll say Comic Con because I've never done a preview night. Like that's what I want to do. And I have it. And then the one I'm looking forward to probably the most, I have fun every year we've gone, is Video Game Awards.
Oh yeah.
That is like I
wanna talk
get out of work early that day. I always take like a half day or the whole day off or whatever. I get to LA early. I hang out. I wait for you guys, and then we
You
chill a
want to
bit.
Take pictures of Reggie secretly.
And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, hey, this is Reggie. And then we have some food
Take
and we
blurry
chill.
pictures of disrespect.
Yeah, Mr. Disrespect.
Get Jason Schreier like right outside the doors.
Wait for him.
I want to talk to Druckmann. We see Druckmann from far.
And and then just
get
sitting
to-
there and watching the
Get
the
to
thing
view
live.
Hideo Kojima, like just be like
And Guillermo del Toro.
50 feet away from you, like
Yeah, that every year it's been a lot of fun.
yeah.
So
You
Crazy
get your seat taken over because you've been gone for too long.
fuck the Oscars. Yeah. No. I forgot to say I hadn't finished Return of Obra Dinn.
Yeah.
I started playing again. That is not a game you to easily jump back into because I'm
man,
like,
shit.
what puzzles did I figure out? I'm like struggling right now. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Start all over again.
I can't. I spent a lot of time, and I'm like, I just look up some guy, and they're like, you might have to guess on some of these. I'm like, fuck, that doesn't help me. So anyway,
I mean, we changed that whole topic just now.
I mean, it's ending chatter,
Reminiscing about the good old days.
pre-quarantine days.
God damn it, dude! It's changed our lives, man. Dude, there will be people for like a long time will probably continue wearing a face mask, which is they're not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but like
No
our
lasting
mentality,
effects.
lasting effects.
No
our mentality is
vaccine.
changing.
No chance.
It's crazy that other countries are closing their borders to America.
Because we're
It's
fucking
like
up, dude.
it started the flip, where it's like
Everyone-
America's like, no
Everyone's
one's
numbers are pointing downwards, and
we're just-
we're like fucking number
I mean,
one,
even
bro.
states, dude. If you fly to a state, they're gonna quarantine your ass.
We got an email.
That extending the work from
No,
home.
no, it wasn't a work thing. It was like this airline is giving an incentive to fly by giving everyone for the rest of this year
Yeah.
free A status or whatever. And I'm like, bitch, I don't give a fuck like what status you give. I'm not flying. Like it was a weird thing. I'm like, that's not an incentive.
I don't know who I'm following on Twitter, but they're like this airline is suggesting that they're about to start like finally like opening up their seats to everyone. And I'm like, I'm on this flight. It is 100% fucking filled. They're not starting to. They are already doing.
Have you
it.
seen the photo on Reddit? It's a guy wearing a face mask over his eyes.
Yeah, and he's using it as like a night,
With a certain type of hat.
but he's using it some hat away, some type of way. Yeah, he's using it as like a night fold or whatever thing.
John Oliver said something that I was like, damn, that would be crazy enough. What if this is going to get a little political? What if
aliens.
How well received do you think this would be if you know how the current political top people are like not really putting a lot of emphasis on the mask wearing
Yeah.
or like anything related to that? What if they had done it so well, they had pushed it so hard and had given everyone excess amounts, there was no shortage anywhere, but they all said the thing that the hat says?
I feel like there'd be, I don't know, maybe
I
it'd be
think it'd be-
backwards. Everything would be
Where it
backwards. It'd be flip where like the people that obviously are for the face
yeah,
mask
would
would be
wear it.
like, you gotta wear it, and then everyone else is like, fuck that shit. I'd rather fucking die. You know, like I'd rather get this shit or whatever.
I don't know. I feel like that could be something that I'd be like, what would that, like, how, I don't know how that would be.
Or what Twitter said, you know, they'll get an edit button if everyone
That's-
wears a face mask.
I'm just like, that's the caveat is like, it's that. Because people hate that hat. Like,
Yeah.
it's one way or the other.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is, I don't know. It was just, I was like,
I feel like I would literally flip the situation where like the opposite side, you know, the everyone on the right side would be okay wearing a mask, and everyone on the left side would be like, nah, it's cool, we're okay. I don't know.
What a world.
What a world.
Earth 2 would have that. Guys,
I would still wear one.
I think the flip thing would be easy. Yeah.
With experiencing it for everything that I have, I would wear one.
Guys, where can people find you?
They can find me at the Fulio365 on Instagram, and then just the Fulio everywhere else.
At the Last Bosses everywhere.
In Seattle, day 3.
Nick Stabbies.
Day 3.
You can find me at Kuja Prime. You can find us all at the Weekly DLC, in quarantine and social distancing, and in Fortnite watching Inception.
Dude, I thought that said Supreme. What the heck?
No, he's got a new sponsor. Until next time, we'll
DLC.
You later.